pressure. Too hot for TV, for cheesy. Too many wanna be hard, be easy. It's all in together, going all out together. It don't take much to please me. Still, homes are never satisfied like the Stones. We don't condone biting, see them selling crossbones. Protecting what I'm writing, don't clash with the titan who blast with a license to kill rap recitants. Come on, in the zone with your nigga from the group home to Cal.
Fuck your lifestyle.
Put your lights out, get this shit to crackin', got you feeling with your pipes out. Time for some action. Surfing the avenue, mad at you. Where I used to battle cruise, back when Antoinette had that attitude. Cover me, I'm going in. Walls closing in. Got us busting off these pistols. My niggas got issues again. Same song, armed with the mega bomb. Blow you out the frame, then I'm gone.
Yo, I was going too, but we roam. Cellular phones, doc meth, back in the flesh, blood and bones, don't condone. Spin bank loans and homegrown. Suckers break like turbo and ozone. When I grab the broom, moonwalk, platoon hawk, my goons bark, leave you in the blue lagoon lost. True. B9's in the glove with Masu, D9 in the glove, right behind on the balls. Haters don't touch, way is both up. Now my neighbor doped up, got the cable hooked up. All channels, lift my shirt, all mammal. You ship off keys and we ship grand piano. Sawed off shotgun, hand on the pump, sipping on the 40, smoking on the blood. Bust my gun off, red and rep, didn't jump. La 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 la. Yeah, come on. Red and rep, didn't jump. La 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 la.
Of the sea, back to the block, Snoop Doggy Dogg, funky at the dot. Went solo on that ass, but it's still the same. Long Beach is the spot where I serve my cane. Follow me, follow me, follow me, follow me, but don't lose your grip. 9 trips ain't the years there for me to fuck up shit. So I ain't holding nothing back, and motherfucker, I got 5 on the 20 sack. It's like that, and as a matter of fact, cause I never hesitate to put a nigga on his back.
Yeah, so keep out the manuscript. You see that it's a must we drop gangsta.
What's my motherfucking name? Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the bow to the wild, creeping and crawling, Yiggy get showing, Snoop Doggy Dogg in the motherfucking house like every day. Dropping shit with my nigga Mr. Dr. Dre. Like I said, niggas can't fuck with this. And niggas can't fuck with that shit that I drop, cause you know it don't stop. Mr. 187 on the motherfucking top. Tick-tock, now with a Glock, just some nuts in the clock. Robbing motherfuckers, then I kill them blood cops. And I step through the fog and I creep through the small, cause I'm Snoop Doggy, 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 oh. Throw your hands in the motherfucking air and wave the motherfuckers like you just don't care. Yeah, roll up the dank and pour the drink and watch it stink. Cause doggies on the gang, my bankroll's on swole. My shit's on hit legit, now I'm on parole. Stroll with the dog pound right behind me and up in your bitch is where you might find me playing that G thing. She want the nigga with the biggest nuts, and guess what? He is I and I am him. Slim with the tilted brim. What's my motherfucking name?
don't think shit stink, pink Gators. My Detroit players, Tim's for my hooligans in Brooklyn. Dead right, if they head right, Biggie there, and night. Papa been smooth since days of under rules. Never lose, never choose to. Bruise, cruise, who? Do something to us. Talk, go through us. Girls want to us, wanna do us, screw us, who us? Yeah, Papa and Bro. Close like Starsky and Hutch, stick to clutch. Yeah, I squeeze 3 at your cherry M3. Bang every MC easily. Recently, niggas frontin' ain't saying nothing, so I just speak my peace, keep my peace. Cubans with the Jesus peace, with my peace. Packing, asking who want it. You got it, nigga, flaunt it. That Brooklyn bullshit, we on it.
Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. And I just love your flashy ways. Guess that's why they're broken, you're so fake. Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. And I just love your flashy ways. Guess that's why they're broken, you're so fake.
I put O's and NY onto DKNY. Miami, DC, prefer Versace. Right. All Philly hoes know it's Moschino. Every cutie with the booty, boy, the coochie. Now who's the real dookie? Meaning who's really the shit? Them niggas ride dicks. Frank White push me 6 on the Lexus LX 4.5. Bulletproof glass tips if I want some ass. Gon' blast squeeze first, ask questions last. That's how most of these so-called gangsters pass. At last, a nigga rapping about blunts and bras, tits and bras, menage a trois, sex and expensive cars, and still leave you on the pavement. Condo paid for, no car payment. At my arraignment, no for the plaintiff. Your daughter's tied up in the Brooklyn basement. Face it, not guilty. That's how I stay true. Richer than richer, so you niggas come and get. Come on.
Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. And I just love your flashy ways. Guess that's why they're broken, you're so fake. Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. And I just love your flashy ways. Guess that's why they're broken, you're so fake.
I can fill you with real millionaire shit. That's cargo, my cargo. 160, swiftly. Wreck it by your new one. Your crew run, your crew run. I know you sick of this name brand liquor with flows. Girls say he's sweet like licorice. So get with this, nigga, it's easy. Girlfriend, here's a bitch. Call me round 10, come through, have sex on rugs, that's Persian. Right. Come up to your job, hit you while you're working. For certain, Papa freaking, not speaking. Leave that ass leaking like rapper demo. Tell them who, take their clothes off slowly. Kill them with the force like Obi. Dick black like Kobe, watch me roam like Romy. Lucky they don't owe me, where to say show me, homie.
Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. And I just love your flashy ways. Guess that's why they're broken, you're so fake. Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. And I just love your flashy ways. Guess that's why they're broken, you're so fake.
Still doing that shit, Andre? Oh, for sure. Yeah. Check me out.
It's still Dre Day, nigga. AK, nigga. Though I've grown a lot, can't keep it home a lot. Cause when I frequent the spots that I'm known to rock, you hear the bass from the truck when I'm on the block. Ladies, they pay homage, but haters say Dre fell off. How, nigga, my last album was The Chronic. They wanna know if he still got it. They say rap's changed. They wanna know how I feel about
if
it.
You ain't up on pace.
Dr. Dre is the name, I'm ahead of my game. Still puffin' my leaf, still fuck with the beats. Still not loving police. Still rock my khakis with a cuff and a crease. Still got love for the streets, reppin' 213. Still the beat bang, still doing my thing. Since I left, ain't too much change.
Still, I'm representing for the gangsters all across the world.
Still
hitting them corners and them lolos, girl.
Still taking my time to perfect the beat. And I still got love for the streets. It's the D.R.E.
I'm representing for the gangsters all across the world.
Still
hitting them corners and them lolos, girl.
Still taking my time to perfect the beat. And I still got love for the streets. It's the D.R.E. Since the last time you heard from me, I lost some friends. Well, hell, me and Snoop, we dipping again. Kept my ear to the streets. Signed Eminem, Hayes, triple platinum, doing 50 a week. Still, I stay close to the heat. And even when I was close to defeat, I rose to my feet. My life's like a soundtrack, I wrote to the beat. Street rap like Cali weed, I smoke till I sleep. Wake up in the AM, compose a beat. I bring the fire till you're soaking in your seat. It's not a fluke, it's been tried, I'm the truth. Since turn out the lights from the world-class wrecking crew, I'm still at it, after mathematics. In the home of drive-bys and acmatics. Swap meets, sticky green and bad traffic. I dip through, then I give you the D.R.E.
I'm representing for the gangsters all across the world.
Still
hitting them corners and them lolos, girl.
Still taking my time time to perfect the beat, and I still got love for the streets. It's the D.R.E.
I'm representing for the gangsters all across the world.
Still
hitting them corners and them lolos, girl.
Still taking my time to perfect the beat, and I still got love for the streets. It's the D.R.E. It ain't nothing but mo hot shit. Another classic CD for y'all to vibe with. Whether you're cooling on the corner with your fly bitch, lay back in the shack, play this track. I'm representing for the gangsters all across the world. Still
hitting them corners and them lolos, girl.
I break your neck, damn near put your face in your lap. Niggas try to be the king, but the ace is back.
So if you ain't up on things,
Dr. Dre be the name, still running the game, still got it wrapped like a mummy. Still ain't tripping, love to see young blacks get money. Spend time out the hood, take their moms out the hood, hit my boys off with jobs. No more living hard, barbecues every day, driving fancy cars. Still gon' get mine regardless.
I'm representing for the gangsters all across the world.
Still
hitting them corners and them lolos, girl.
Still taking my time to perfect the beat, and I still got love for the streets. It's the D.R.E.
I'm representing for the gangsters all across the world.
Still
hitting them corners and them lolos, girl.
Still taking my time to perfect the beat, and I still got love for the streets. It's the D.R.E.
I'm representing for the gangsters all across the world.
Still
hitting them corners and them lolos, girl.
Still taking my time to perfect the beat, and I still got love for the streets. It's the D.R.E.
DJ Noise, the German mixtape master.
Stop, drop, shut them down, open up shop. Oh, no, that's how rough riders roll. Stop, drop, shut them down, open up shop. Oh, no, that's how rough riders roll. Niggas wanna try, niggas wanna lie, then niggas wonder why, niggas wanna die. All I know is pain, all I feel is rain. How can I maintain with that shit on my brain? I resort to violence, my niggas moving silence like you don't know what our style is. New York niggas the wildest, my niggas is with it. You want it? Come and get it. Took it, then we split it. You fucking right, we did it. What the fuck you gon' do when we run up on you? Fucking with the wrong crew, don't know what we going through. I'ma have to show niggas how easily we blow niggas. When you find out it's some more niggas that's running with yo niggas. Nothing we can't handle, break it up and dismantle. Light it up like a candle, just cause I can't stand you. Put my shit on tapes, like you bustin' grapes. Think you holding weight, then you haven't met the apes. Stop, drop, shut them down, open up shop. Oh, no, that's how rough riders roll. Stop, drop, shut them down, open up shop. Oh, no, that's how rough riders roll. Hey, shy niggas crazy, I bust you and be swayzy. Stop acting like a baby, mind your business, lady. Nosy people get it too. When you see me spit at you, you know I'm trying to get rid of you. Yeah, I know it's pitiful, that's how niggas get down. Watch my niggas spit round, make y'all niggas kiss ground. Just for talking shit, clowns. Oh, you think it's funny? Then you don't know me, money. It's about to get ugly. Fuck a dog, I'm hungry. I guess you know what that means. Come up off that cream. 5 niggas on the fiend. Don't make it a murder scene. Give a dog a bone, leave a dog alone. Let a dog roam and he'll find his way home. Home of the brave, my home is a cave. And yo, I'm a slave to my home is the grave. I'm a pull papers, it's all about the papers. Bitches caught the papers and now they wanna rape us. Stop, drop, shut them down, open up shop. Oh, no, that's how rough riders roll. Stop, drop, shut them down, open up shop. Oh, no, that's how rough riders roll. Holla, holla, all my niggas that's ready to get dollars, dollars. Bitches know who could get them a little hotter, hotter. Come on, if you rollin' with me, holla, holla, it's murder. Holla, holla, all my niggas that's ready to get dollars, dollars. Bitches know who could get them a little hotter, hotter. Come on, if you rollin' with me, holla, holla, it's murder. Then you fucking with y'all, nada. What you wanna go dollar for dollar? Holla, holla, my niggas is hotter, hotter. Fuck plenty bitches and dug digits for petty niggas. You look in my eyes and tell me the style ain't ridiculous. Bitches, bitches, pop the pussy and bounce like hit it, hit it. Show off your paper is long, you can get it, get it. Baby, baby, don't you wanna leave tonight? Fuck with me, cause we really need to be freaking off at any cost. It's on me. If you married, then get a divorce. When I hit it, some women get twisted, have them twitching like damn, look what the dick did. I just wanna hit it the worst way, right after a long day, then put the puss on layaway. Heard me? I'm that dirty nigga that gets you hot and heated, baby girl. If you want it That's how the slugs get down. Cause I spit 'em, choke them niggas like roaches, then flip 'em. Long as I'm alive, I'ma hit 'em. Respect mine to the day, my demise. Don't fuck with me, cause the flow's killer. Whoever ever who wants it, it's on the gon' get it. Filler. Nigga full of hoes, treat 'em like hoes and show no love to them homo thugs. It's us you wanna fuck with. But soon as them slugs skip from body to body, go from brave to bitch. I don't respect it, plus niggas permitted treason. Who want it with y'all? Who ready to die breathing? Holla. All my niggas that's ready to get dollars. Bitches know who could get 'em a little hotter. Come on, if you rollin' with me, holla. It's murder. Holla. All my niggas that's ready to get dollars. Bitches know who could get 'em a little hotter. Come on, if you rollin' with me, holla. It's murder. Child baby, one of the many niggas who sip penny with the 2-seater sitting on 20s. I be with running in, running out, then down the sound, hit 'em up, gun them down. Niggas ain't ready for job anyway, anyhow. I give it to niggas claiming that they living real niggas. Brandish the iron and blast like hold this. When you got nothing to live for, notice niggas be hot and more explosive. Focus, ready to rip 'em up with the toasters. My life, niggas frontin' and stuntin' for nothing better. Act right, hope I spark and dim your lights. I'm a hazard, you niggas a bastard. You bitches when in doubt, go yourself and clap to finish. Anything moving rightfully hit for wrongdoing. I'm a follower, encouraging all my niggas to what? Holla. All my niggas that's ready to get dollars. Bitches know who could get 'em a little hotter. Come on, if you rollin' with me, holla. It's murder. Holla. All my niggas that's ready to get dollars. Bitches know who could get 'em a little hotter. Come on, if you rollin' with me, holla. It's murder. Holla. All my niggas that's ready to get dollars. Bitches know who could get 'em a little hotter. So clean, cause she put that question been harassing me in the mind. This bitch is fine, I done came to the club about 50-11 times now. Can I play with your panty line? The club wanna say I need to calm down. Security guards gonna swing me now. Nigga drunk, then a motherfucker threaten me now.
She getting drunk in the club, I mean she work. And then I like to see them females work. Taking the clothes off, bucking naked. And she hold on, disrespect it. I pop your pussy like this. Cause you ain't friends in this V.I.H. Lil John and the East Side boys with me. And we all like to see ass and titties. Now bring your ass over here, ho. And let me see you get low. If you want this dub, now take it to the floor. Now if your ass wanna act, then you can keep your ass where you at.
369, damn it, fine. Take it to me one more time and go. Get low.
See you get low, you step to the drink in my hand, steady looking at me, still asking questions. Time's up, nigga, pass me another contestant. Whole move to the left if you ain't about steady. And talk through 3 or 4 songs already. Looking at a nigga with your palm out. Bitch, I ain't even seen you dance. Work something, baby. Work something, baby. Poppin' pussy on the pole, do your thing, baby. Slide down there, bitch, a little bit, then stop. Get back on the floor, catch your balance, then drop. Now bring it back up, clap your ass like ham. I just wanna see your ass dirty, damn. Yeah, we done done it again. And put it on the map like, man.
369, damn, it's fine. Take your second to me one more time and go. Get low, get low, get low, get low, get low, get low.
Ladies, talking a little harder than that. Now, right now, I need all the ladies that know they look good tonight. What am I saying? We gonna just do this shit like this. Bend over to the front, touch your toes, run that ass up and down again. Bend over to the front, touch your toes, run that ass up and down again. Bend over to the front, touch your toes, run that ass up and down again. Bend over to the front, touch your toes, run that ass up and down again.
369, damn, it's fine. Second to me one more time and go. Get low, get low, get low, get low, get low, get low. To the window, to the wall, to the wall. With a sweat drop down my ball. All these bitches wild. All these motherfuckers. All these guys. I got that. All these motherfuckers. All these guys. I got that.
Yeah. Good morning in that, though. But it's Uncle Lou here, though. Yeah, that's right. It's me, Uncle Lou. Live for you on LouTube today. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Also, in Twitter edition of that as well. Playoff rankings number 2 get released tonight at 9 o'clock. So I figured we'd start the show a little early, watch the rankings show together, and then I'll open up the phone lines and we'll take the phone calls. I'm going to go through my top 10 now before the fake playoff poll comes out at 9. I'm going to tell you what it should be, and then these morons that have been locked in a room for 2 days are going to tell you what it actually is. So that's what we're going to do. Appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. It's good to see everybody in here. Hope you guys enjoyed your Tuesday and you've had a good start to the week. Got some college football games on tonight in the MAC for the 1 or 2 of you who may be interested. Games tomorrow and Thursday and Friday and Saturday. So 5 games, 5 days in a row, college football. So enjoy it. Football season is going to be over before we know it. Thanksgiving's a few weeks away, then Christmas will be here, then New Year's, and then the national title game, and then it's all over till next September. So enjoy it while you can. Good to see everybody in here tonight. B. Bean, Neo, Eric D., Bo Weevil, Ego One, Stephen Roberts, Ahmed Oviedo, Tobin Bradshaw, Cal Snow, Jerome Pruitt, Scott Borer, B.A., Indy Fitz, Garrett Mahaffey, Shane Yarborough, Caleb, Jeff Webster, Bobby G, Dawson, Savage Dog, Waiting on Mars, Sergeant Gibby, Bad Dog, Backup KS, Ammonia Wilder, Lizard Circus, Jarvis, Adam Conklin, Sparty Buck, Salco No, love your last name, Dan Blackshear, Rob D, Matt Dummett, Mr. Lambo, you like, I do like, ATB, Kirby's Visor, Real Gentry, Bulls Fan Gordo, Young Citrus, Jason Crosby, Peyton Simmons, Easy Money, Neo. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Super chat right below the comments section. If you're looking for a way to support the show, that's a great way to do it. These live shows, super chats and PayPals are what keep these live shows going. So if you enjoy the shows, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, which is free. Doesn't cost you anything at all. Doesn't even take you any time at all. Hit the thumbs up button. I appreciate that. Super chat, leave me a comment, question, troll me, whatever you want to do. I'll be happy to read it. Same thing with the PayPal. YouTube steals half your super chat. PayPal does not. So if you have PayPal and don't mind doing it that way, you can attach a note to your PayPal, and I'll be happy to read that as well. I just posted it in the comments section. It's also in the description of the video, and the mods will post it from time to time. Shane M., thank you for the super chat. He says, LSU down at the moment, but you haven't heard the last from us. I agree with you there. I mean, LSU recruits too well. There's too much talent in that area for them to completely fall off the map for a long period of time, in my opinion. I mean, their last 3 head coaches have all won national titles. What does that tell you? It's not a very difficult place to win a national title compared to almost any other school, right? So I buy that. Millis Vanillis, thank you for the super chat. He says, Voltards on Twitter are more entertaining than Florida man at a shoe store. Damn. The Voltards are on Twitter talking about tearing the goalpost down when they beat Georgia this weekend, so that is hilarious. Beggin Megan, thank you for the super chat. He says, remember that jump pass versus Charleston Southern, though? I do remember that. Shout out to Florida. Florida is literally falling apart right before our eyes. I love it. There's 6 minutes to go in this basketball game on ESPN. I don't know what they're going to do if this basketball game runs over. I'm assuming that means the ranking show will be delayed, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. Kansas and Michigan State are playing a round ball game here where they're shooting a orange ball into a netted basket thing, and there's 6.5 minutes to go. So, and this is the channel that the playoff show comes on. So we'll see what happens at 9 o'clock if they move it to another different channel or if they make us wait. But while we wait, I will give you my top 10 for this week. Now, I don't make this top 10 based on what I think is going to happen between now and the end of the season. I base this top 10 on what has happened so far. Okay, so like I'm going to tell you right now, I have Cincinnati in my top 4 right now. I don't think Cincinnati is finishing in the top 4. There, a lot of teams around them would have to lose for Cincy to hold on to the ranking they have now in my poll. But up to this point, I'm only judging what has happened so far. Okay. So this week, coming in at number 10, I have Oklahoma State. They beat West Virginia this past week, 24-3. It was a road game, dominating win. The game was never in doubt. They still just have the one loss, so they're 8-1. They got a huge showdown with Oklahoma at the end of the year, and it's looking more and more likely that Oklahoma State and Oklahoma will play 2 weeks in a row. The last game of the regular season, and then the Big 12 title game the following week. This week, Oklahoma State plays a struggling TCU team that's fired their coach and hasn't been very good this year. So I would expect Oklahoma State to win this week and move to 9-1. But this week, I've got them number 10 in my poll. They were in the top 10 earlier this year before suffering a loss. Now they're back in the top 10 at number 10 in the UNCLELOU ranking. At number 9, I've got Notre Dame, and they are holding on in the top 10 by a thread. Notre Dame, in my opinion, they're really only in my top 10 because it's hard to find other teams that deserve to be there. I've got serious questions about Notre Dame even winning this weekend, never mind finishing the regular season with just the one loss. Now, the one loss that they have is a pretty good loss. It's a loss to Cincinnati, and regardless of what you think of Cincinnati, they're in every top 10 ranking. They're in every top 10 poll. So Notre Dame's one loss is a pretty good loss as far as losses go. I've got Notre Dame at number 9. They beat Navy 34-6. This week they play on the road at Virginia, and they're, I think, only a 1 or 2 point favorite in that game. So a tricky road game for Notre Dame this week. We'll see if they can get the win and improve to 9-1, but I've got them number 9 this week. At number 8, I've got Michigan. Michigan, of course, still just has the one loss to Michigan State. And wins and losses matter, but if you watched the game, Michigan dominated the game for the majority of the game. They were up 16 in the second half. Some questionable coaching decisions by Michigan, in my opinion, in the second half of that game. Changing some quarterbacks in and out for what appeared to be no reason, in my opinion. I didn't like their play calling in the second half when they had the big lead. I felt like they should have maybe tried to slow the game down a little. They didn't do that. They stayed aggressive, and it came back to bite them. Ended up losing to Michigan State. So I've got them at number 8 with just the one loss. They beat Indiana this past weekend 29-7. And this week coming up, they play on the road at a Penn State team who has dropped a few games over the last month, but they're still in the top 25 in the playoff poll. I think the playoff poll has them at 23 last week, or the AP poll this week, I think, has Penn State at 23. We'll see where the playoff committee has them here in a few minutes this week. But so, you know, if Michigan beats them, which I expect they probably will, I think that would be a good win. It's on the road against a good team. Wouldn't be a great win, but it would be a good win on the road against a good team. We'll see if they can pull it off. At number 7, I have Michigan State. Of course, they lost this past week to Purdue, 40-29. Disappointing performance on the road from Michigan State a week after that big emotional win over in-state rival Michigan. They had to go on the road, play a Purdue team who had already knocked off Iowa when Iowa was in the top 5. And Purdue does it again, beating Michigan State, this time 40-29. Michigan State this coming week plays a home game against Maryland, a game they should win. So Michigan State currently sitting at 8-1. They still have games against Ohio State and Penn State. Wow. So that's their last 2 games of the year? Whoa. So their last 2 games of the year are Penn State and Ohio State and Penn State. So we'll see if Michigan State wins out. That's going to be a strong one-loss resume heading into the Big Ten title game. We'll see. At number 6, I have Ohio State. And at number 5, I have Oregon. I explained all this last week. As long as Oregon and Ohio State each have one loss, Oregon will remain one spot ahead of Ohio State, whether that's this week where they're 5-6, maybe next week they're 4-5, whatever the case. But I'm not moving Ohio State ahead of Oregon in my playoff ranking when they have the same record, and Oregon traveled all that distance and whipped them in Columbus. I'm not doing it. Oregon does have a bad loss against Stanford, but they beat Ohio State head-to-head. And if head-to-head matchups aren't going to matter, then why are we playing the games? So I've got Oregon at 5 and Ohio State at 6. Ohio State struggled this past week against Nebraska, but they did get the win, 26-17 on the road in Lincoln. They play Purdue this coming week. So Purdue's a giant killer this year. We'll see if Purdue can make it 3 for 3. They've beat Iowa when Iowa was in the top 5. They just beat Michigan State when Michigan State was in the top 5. This week, they'll have a chance to knock off Ohio State, who is 4, 5, 6, or 7, depending on which poll you look in. We'll see if Purdue can do it. Ohio State gets Purdue at home. That's obviously an advantage versus having to play them there. So we'll see if Ohio State can pull it off. They're currently sitting at 8-1. And Oregon also sitting at 8-1. A win this past week in their rivalry game on the road at Washington. Another game where they didn't dominate. They won 26-16, but it was pouring down rain. Kind of a weird game. They play Washington State this coming week. So I've got Oregon at 5, Ohio State at 6. At number 4, Oregon at 5, Ohio State at 6. At number 4, I've got Alabama. Alabama's 8-1. Their one loss is on the road to Texas A&M. They were lucky to survive with a win this past week against a terrible LSU team. They won 20-14 at home. LSU had multiple chances to win this game. LSU had 4 possessions, I believe, in the fourth quarter in Alabama territory and came away with 0 points. Bryce Young fumbled the ball with a couple of minutes to go, but Alabama fell on it. If that goes the other way, who knows what happens. Alabama did escape with the win. They remain 8-1. Alabama had 6 yards rushing. 6 6. Alabama had 6 yards rushing. I've got Alabama at number 4. They host New Mexico State this week. A slight upgrade from LSU, but we'll see if they can handle them. At number 3, I've got Cincinnati. They struggled for the 3rd week in a row, beating Tulsa 28-20. And I'm telling you right now, Cincinnati's not making the playoffs. Their strength of schedule is not there, and too many struggle wins now against bad teams. Now, I know other teams have struggled too. Oklahoma struggled with Kansas and several other teams, Texas. Alabama struggled with Florida and LSU, 2 bad teams. Oregon has a bad loss and several other close wins. But right now, they're undefeated. No one else in the top 10 behind them is undefeated. That's why Cincinnati is 3. And they've got a better win. They have a win against Notre Dame on the road at Notre Dame. That's a better win than any win Alabama has. A better win than any win Ohio State has. A better win than Michigan has. A better win than Notre Dame has, and a better win than Oklahoma State has. So they've just got a better win than Oklahoma and a better win than Georgia. So they've got a really good win, and to me that offsets a little bit of the struggles that they've had. But they are not going to finish in the top 4, and even in my ranking, never mind the other playoff ranking, because there's too many teams behind them with opportunities to move up against quality opponents. But right now, this week, I've got them at number 3. They did beat Tulsa, like I mentioned, 28-20. This week, they play on the road against a terrible South Florida team, a South Florida team that they should beat by 30 points. So we'll see. At number 2, I've got Oklahoma. Oklahoma was off this past week, and that worked in their favor. Oklahoma did not struggle this past week because they didn't play. Cincinnati struggled. Alabama struggled. Oregon struggled. Ohio State struggled, all against bad teams. All against bad teams. So I've got Oklahoma at 2. They're still undefeated in a Power 5 conference. They, too, have a difficult schedule the rest of the way. They were off this week, but this coming weekend they play on the road at number 18 Baylor, and then they have a showdown against a top 10 Oklahoma State team at the end of the year, and sandwiched in between there, don't they play Iowa State in between there, too? Yeah. At Baylor this week, home against Iowa State next week, and then on the road at Oklahoma State to close things out. So the way Oklahoma has been playing this season, it's hard to imagine them winning all 3 of those games. But if they do, they'll be in the playoffs if they then win the Big 12 title game, because that'll be several quality wins at the end of the season. And they'll be in the playoffs at the end if they win it all, if they go 13-0. And just like everybody else, I've got Georgia at number 1. They dismantled another inferior opponent this past week. Oh, Missouri is terrible. I know. So is LSU. So is Nebraska. So is Washington. So is Tulsa. Georgia didn't go out and win by 10 points. They won 43-6. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what a great team is supposed to do when you play an inferior opponent. And I've seen a lot of these other teams that are struggling right now do that in previous years. I've seen Alabama beat bad teams by 30 and 40. But they're not doing it this year. They definitely didn't do it this weekend. Oklahoma was losing to Kansas at halftime. Cincinnati's had 3 struggle wins in a row against bad teams. Oregon barely beat a horrible Washington team. Ohio State struggled for the entire game against a Nebraska team that's going to finish the regular season 3-9 with 1 conference win. Georgia played Missouri and beat them 43-6. This week they play on the road at Tennessee, 3:30 game on CBS. Tennessee will have the best offense Georgia has played this year. We'll see how many points they can score. 13 points is the most Georgia has given up in any game this year. That was against Kentucky. Kentucky scored 2 touchdowns. Georgia blocked an extra point. That's how they ended up with 13. No one has scored more than 2 touchdowns on Georgia, but Tennessee probably does have the best offense of any team we've played so far, so we'll see how many they can score. Tennessee's problem, of course, is their defense. They can't stop a nosebleed. So, I mean, there's no chance Tennessee's winning this game, but they're looking for a moral victory, which would be scoring more than 13. So they can raise their hand and say that they scored the most amount of points of anyone else on Georgia, but they know they're not winning the game. So there you go. That's the Uncle Lou top 10. It's 9:07. There's 2 minutes to go in the basketball game. As far as I know, they haven't switched the playoff selection show to another channel, so they're just waiting until this game ends. Can anybody tell me if I'm wrong or right about that? If I need to change the channel, I will. Scott Bohr, thank you for the super chat. He says, I do not like putting teams with 1 loss in front of 0 loss teams from major conferences at all. Do you think they will move Alabama down? No, I don't, but they should. But they're going to have the excuse this week that everyone else struggled too. So, and they had the regular playoff poll had Oklahoma all the way back at number 8 last week. So there's no way they're moving Oklahoma ahead of Alabama this week when Oklahoma had a bye, which won't happen. Cal Snow, thank you for the super chat. He says, who have they played? You know, that's an excellent question. I often find myself asking that same question. Who have they played? The reality is no one has played anybody. That's the problem. That's the problem. Who have Georgia played? Woo! Yeah, nobody. Like I said, that's the problem. Nobody has played nobody. Nobody has played nobody, Lou. Lou, did you know ain't nobody played nobody? We're heading into week 11 and nobody's played nobody. So it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Nobody's played anybody, but then you got Ohio State fans running around trying to convince people that Nebraska is good. That's why they struggled. You know, Georgia ain't played nobody, but somehow Ohio State's win over Nebraska is impressive. Caleb, thank you for the super chat. What would be a better game for the SEC championship, UJ versus Bama or UJ versus A&M? Probably UJ versus A&M. A&M at least has an elite defense. Bama doesn't have an elite offense or an elite defense. Yeah, we're taking calls after the playoff poll comes out. Lucas, thank you for the super chat. Jack Selman, thank you for the super chat. Did you know that Georgia ain't played nobody, Woo? Yeah, I did know that. I get told that all the time. Okay, Lou, I know Georgia's only given up 6 points a game and we're heading into week 11, but who have they played? Here's a list of teams we haven't played. We haven't played Kansas. We haven't played Kansas and struggled with them. We haven't played Nebraska. We haven't played Nebraska and struggled with them. We haven't played Tulsa or Tulane and struggled with them. Right, Oklahoma? Cincinnati? We have played Florida. Now, we didn't struggle with them and win by 2, but we have played them. We have played them. We haven't played the worst Stanford team I've ever seen and lost. We haven't done that. But that's a list of some of the teams that we have not played. Look, when Georgia beats Bama, everyone's going to be saying the same thing that I'm saying now about Bama. Well, Bama wasn't no good. Yeah, I know. I'm telling you now, Bama's not that good. And everybody's saying Bama's going to beat us. Look at Lou disrespecting Bama. Bama's still Bama, Lou. No, Bama's not Bama. Not this year, they're not. Not this year, they're not. And as soon as we beat Bama, all the nitwits who are telling me Bama's going to beat us are going to be in here telling me Bama was no good. Look at Lou bragging over a win over a terrible Alabama team. And I can't wait. I can't wait. I live for that shit. I live for that shit. Less than a minute to go in the game now, and it's not close, so they're not going to be calling timeouts or anything stupid like that normally slows down these basketball games. So they should be just about to start the college football selection show, and then we'll get to the phone calls. Rank Bishop Sycamore. No. Not going to do that. For 14 years, you've been living with being Bama's bitch. That is what you've been living with. Well, for 4 years, you've been living with being my bitch. So, but yet here you are. And Georgia will be in Atlanta. So, we'll see. Oh, for Billy Paul, thank you for the super chat. He says, is OU better than Cincy? That would be a good game, I think. I think it would be a good game. I think it would be a good game. All right, basketball game's over, so the selection show should be starting now. We'll take a look at what these idiots say this week, and then we'll open up the phone lines and let everybody complain about it. How's that sound? In the meantime, hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Normally, we turn the phone lines on as soon as we start these shows, which I do every Tuesday and Thursday night, usually at 10 p.m. But once the playoff polls start coming out, I go live a little bit early so we can check out these playoff rankings. And it's running a little late tonight because the basketball game is just ending. So it's supposed to start at 9. The basketball game's just ending now. So I'm assuming they're going to go straight to the selection show now. And so we'll see what the playoff committee has to say, and then we'll open up the phone lines and take some phone calls. But hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, or if you haven't subscribed already. I post pointless, barely watchable college football videos almost every single day of the year. And plus do a ridiculous amount of these live shows, too. So, very annoying and irritating. But the comment section is a lot of fun. Now they're showing interviews with the players. No one cares. We want to see the selection show, please, and thank you. This is ridiculous. This is getting... I'm about to get a little bit... I'm about to get a little bit perturbed.
I'm just a little bit perturbed.
Jackpot. It will be UJ and Sooners for the Natty. That was a popular pick in the preseason. And then when Oklahoma started off kind of sluggish, a lot of people got off of that theory. But some people starting to get back on it now. I heard about the thing at the Astro World Festival, and but I don't know enough about the details to really express an opinion on it, other than that it's sad that that happened. But as far as if you're looking for me to cast blame or something like that, I don't know enough about the situation to point a finger. Maybe eventually. I don't know. All right, the selection show's coming on now, so we'll see what these merry band of nitwits have to say. And then listen to their excuses about why they ranked these teams there and the other teams here and there and everywhere in between, too. So here we go. Last week, they went from 25 all the way down to number 7. And then they went from 1 to 6. So I'm assuming that's what they'll do again today. But I've got it on here, so I'll let you know what they say as soon as they say it. Just doing the whole talking head routine now. Bunch of nothing. Connor Ross, thank you for the super chat. He says, do you actually believe A&M is a bad team, or was that just to put Alabama down? Because they will likely go 10-2 or at worst 9-3 in the SEC this year. I don't think they're very good. I think they have a really good defense. Second best defense in the SEC, but I don't think they're really good. They lost to Arkansas and Mississippi State. Almost lost to Colorado. Do you think it should be 4 best teams or 4 most deserving teams? I think it should be a combination of those two things. You can't for certain say who the 4 best teams are. So the deserve part has to play a factor. Like last year, at the end of the year, like in November, Oklahoma was one of the best 4 teams. Period. There were not 4 teams better than Oklahoma last November. But they lost 2 games in the beginning of the season, so they didn't get in. They didn't deserve to get in. They were one of the best 4 teams, though. What are the odds that Mississippi State is still ranked to be a quality win for the Gumps? That's going to be impossible to defend. It was ridiculous that last week that they had Mississippi State ranked where they did. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't see how they can justify that this week. I mean, Mississippi State is horrible. What do you think about Todd Grantham getting fired? It should have happened at the end of last year. I mean, as a Georgia fan, I wish they would have kept him, you know. But what are you going to do? Somebody just asked me about that like 1 minute ago, and I said all I have to say about it, the concert thing. Scott Frost is coming back. Yeah, that's great news for every other team in the Big Ten other than Nebraska. OU versus Georgia, September 8th, 2023. I wouldn't count on that. Oklahoma's joining the SEC, so all these non-con games are going to go out the window. But you're a really big football fan, so, OU 7 Nats, so I'm sure you already knew that, which makes it strange that you typed that out. Well, I know he's dumb, Dawson. I think Lou is backdoor Gator fan. You cracked the code, Bill. You figured it out. You must have been around a long time. You finally figured it out. I'm secretly a Florida fan. Nothing gets past you, Bill. Nothing gets past you, sir. All right, Chris Hurricane Man, I'm timing you out because you have asked that question 14 times. Okay? I addressed it. I then told you I addressed it and to stop asking me about it, and you keep on and on about it, and it's irritating. You want to know what I think? I don't give a fuck about a Travis Scott concert. I think it's sad that people got hurt or injured or died, just like I do in any car crash or anything else where people get hurt, injured, or died. But as far as a Travis Scott concert, I don't give 2 fucks about. I don't give a shit. Okay? I don't care. Chad, thank you for hitting the PayPal link, sir. I really appreciate that. He says, been a Bama fan since the 70s. This Bama team looks like offense is led by idiot Bill and awful line play. They are not on the Dogs' level and will not be in the playoff. That's facts. Their offensive line is the worst I've probably seen in 10 years. Can't run the ball. And without Williams at wide receiver, your offense would be like dead last in the SEC. Georgia QB situation is a joke. Yeah, they've got 2 QBs better than any QB that about 125 other teams have. So, it is a joke. It's a joke on everyone else. All right, here you go. Number 25, Arkansas. Number 24, Utah. Number 23, UTSA, which should have been ranked last week, but wasn't. Number 22, San Diego State. And number 21, Pittsburgh. Number 20, Iowa. Number 19, Purdue. Number 18, Wisconsin. Number 17, The Barn. Number 16, NC State. Purdue went from unranked all the way up to 19. They're 6-3. All right, come on, let's go. Move it along here, ESPN. You're already 30 minutes late. Now let's go. This is unacceptable. All right, number 15, Ole Miss. Number 13, Baylor. Number 12, Wake Forest. Number 11, Texas A&M. So Wake Forest falls out of the top 10 with that loss to North Carolina this past week. They currently sit at 8-1, and they have them 12 in this current poll. So, yeah, 15 Ole Miss, 13 Baylor, 12 Wake Forest, 11 Texas A&M. You know how it is, Mike. We don't acknowledge the bicycle college around here. Number 10, Oklahoma State. I also had Oklahoma State at 10 in my top 10 I did 20 minutes ago. So they got Oklahoma State at 10, record of 8-1. Now I had Notre Dame at 9. Let's see who they have at 9. Yeah, I appreciate that, Matt. I appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, buddy. Number 9, they have Notre Dame. So the playoff committee is 2 for 2 so far. So far, they have it right. I had Oklahoma State at 10. I had Notre Dame at 9. So does the playoff committee. They were probably watching my show before they went live here. I had Michigan at 8. Let's see what the playoff committee nitwits have at 8. I had Michigan at 8. God, they left Oklahoma at 8. Man, they are hating on Oklahoma strong. That means they left Michigan State ahead of Oklahoma after Michigan State lost to Purdue. Wow. Wow. Man, they are hating on Oklahoma. I wonder if they're, the playoff committee is made up of a bunch of athletic directors from around the country. I wonder if certain athletic directors are holding Oklahoma down as punishment for joining the SEC. Wow, that is crazy. Oklahoma stayed at 8. Almost every single team ahead of Oklahoma struggled against a terrible team this week. Several teams ahead of Oklahoma have losses already. Wow. All right, here comes the top 7. Number 1 is Georgia again, clearly, obviously. Georgia currently at 9-0. They play on the road at Tennessee this week. They host Charleston Southern next week, and then they finish things up on the road at Georgia Tech. So the playoff committee has them number 1 for the second week in a row. Jonah, thank you for the super chat. He says, my top 4 picks are UGA, Cincy, Oregon, and Ohio State. It's not a bad top 4. Playoff committee has Alabama at 2, so the number 1 and number 2 stay the same. They've got Oregon at 3. I had Georgia at 1, Oklahoma at 2, Cincinnati at 3. They've got Ohio State at 4. So they've got Georgia, Bama, Oregon, Ohio State. That's the top 4 for the playoff committee. I have Georgia, Oklahoma, Cincinnati, and Bama. At number 5, so they moved Cincinnati up. They moved Cincinnati up to number 5, the playoff committee did. Now, that's a big deal because if Oregon or Ohio State lose or Alabama, it's going to be hard for the playoff committee not to put Cincinnati then up into the top 4, which would be a big deal for a group of 5 team. So they've got Cincinnati at 5. When does Ohio State jump Oregon if they all win out? Never. If Oregon and Ohio State win out, Oregon will be 2 in the final ranking, and Ohio State will be 3 in the final ranking, and they'll have a rematch in the first round of the playoffs. So we've got Michigan and Michigan State left. So my guess is that Michigan State is going to be 6 because they've beat Michigan. Nope, they've got Michigan at 6. This is weird. So they're keeping Oregon ahead of Ohio State because Oregon beat Ohio State, but they're not keeping Michigan State ahead of Michigan. So their logic is flawed here. I mean, I'm not sure what they're doing here. Yeah, I'm sure you're a huge BYU fan. All right, it takes me just a few minutes to get the phone lines turned on. So you play a song for you guys real quick while I get the phone lines turned on. Then I'll come back on, and we'll hear from you guys what y'all think about these rankings or whatever else it is you want to talk about in the world of college football. So give me just a couple of minutes here. We'll do this one.
Getting your paycheck.
No, that's an ad, though. All right. Give me just a couple minutes. I'll get the phone lines turned on. In the meantime, enjoy some music. I'll be back in 3 or 4 minutes.
Who are you to wave your finger? You must have been out your head. I hold deep in muddy waters. You practically raised the dead. Rob the grave to snow the cradle, then burn the evidence down. Soapbox house of cards and glass, so don't go tossing your stones around.
Rogers twin out here educating people. Good job, Rogers twin. Set them straight, buddy. All right, 706-786-4481 is the number. I'll put it up on the screen here for those of you that don't have it saved in your phone. 706-786-4481 is the number if you want to be on the show. Give me a call. We can talk about the playoff rankings. We'll talk about last week's games. We'll talk about next week's games. Whatever it is you want to talk about in the world of college football. Once again, I do appreciate everybody tuning in. This is Uncle Lou After Dark, the college football call-in show, and I do this 2 nights a week, year-round, every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern. Started early today because the playoff ranking thingy was getting released at 9 o'clock. So we've been on for about an hour or so talking about that. Open up the phone lines now and see what it is that you guys and girls have to say. But I do thank you all for tuning in. Hit the thumbs up if you hadn't already. That's a huge help to a live stream. So if you're enjoying the show, well, forget the show. If you're enjoying the comment section, hit the thumbs up. It is a big help. Super chat located right below the comment section. And there's a PayPal link as well for those of you that have PayPal and don't mind using it. It's a great way to support the show. These direct donations are the only thing to keep the live shows going. So if you like it over here, if you enjoy these live shows, consider donating to the show. Help a brother out. There you go. Let's get to the phone lines and see what it is you guys want to talk about. Yeah, good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou, though.
Good morning, Uncle Lou.
Yeah, good morning in that.
Good. Hey, man, on this Florida thing, man, it was third in Grantham, then it was like first in Grantham, second in Grantham. That was third and find a job.
Yeah.
So, but hey, man, let me tell you, last week Saturday, you were asking if anybody thought that South Carolina would be Florida, and a lot of us said yes.
Yeah.
And again, that's just speculation. But I tell you, for me personally, where I kind of had that feeling was on Dan Mullen's last, I don't know what you call it, press conference or whatever, when he shut everything down. I was like, oh, that's not a good, that's not good. That's out, right? So let me tell you, give you some insight that I've got personally. I've got a good friend that I grew up with or went to high school with, and he was a starting guard on Florida's 93-94 Final Four team at Florida, and his son is on the active roster. And we talk often, but, you know, we just trash talk back and forth. And after that South Carolina game, my phone rang. And we were talking, and he said, I can't say it. You didn't hear it from me, but you're right. That team has quit.
Yeah.
That team has quit. And he didn't confirm anything. And again, because, you know, I don't want to put him on the spot.
Right.
You know, his boy's not a starter. He's on the active roster. But yeah, man, that's what it is, man. And Florida's just, and Dan Mullen, and I know I make fun of Megan Mullen, dude, and you know, it just he just creates that. He creates that. What he gets, he creates. But I'm gonna get off of Florida, and I'm gonna say this last thing. Again, anything can happen. Tennessee is playing some good ball, and hey, we're up at Neyland. But man, I'm not feeling it, man. Hey, we may get a good game out of Florida, or not Florida, but Tennessee. But man, I'm just going to toss some man of trash even this early. Man, Tennessee don't have a clue what's coming for them on Saturday. They really don't. And again, not to say that they're not playing good ball, and you know, Hooker's looking all right, man. But this is a monster coming into Tennessee.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think Tennessee's
that's
got
what I got,
chance
man.
to
Go.
win. Thank you for the call. Yeah, it was good to hear from you. Thank you for
Yeah,
that.
go Dogs.
Yeah, go Dogs. Thank you for that info. It's not surprising that the Florida team quit when you have a head coach that condones quitting in the previous season, which is what he did in that press conference after the Oklahoma game. He condoned the team quitting. It's not surprising to me that once the team considers this season to, quote-unquote, be over, that they would consider it okay to go ahead and quit again. So it doesn't surprise me at all that ended up happening. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
What's up, Uncle Lou? It's Ole Miss Edward. How you doing?
Hey, Edward. I'm good. How are you, buddy?
Doing good. I got to say, it felt good to beat up on Hugh Freeze over the weekend. Kind of a sleepy game in the second half. Just kind of wanted to get in, get out type games. But, you know, it's whatever. It's over now. I'm pretty excited. College game day is coming back to the Grove for the A&M game. That's going to be a big one.
Yeah, that'll be a good game. I'll be interested to see because I think Ole Miss, we talking about Tennessee's offense. Either Tennessee or Ole Miss, I think, probably has the best offense in the SEC, or first and second, however you want to look at it. And I think Texas A&M has the second best defense in the SEC. So it'll be a good matchup here in that one. You know, Lane Kiffin versus Jimbo Fisher, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that could be a good game.
Yeah. Hopefully we get some guys back. We were playing without all our starting receivers against Liberty and two of our linemen and our tight end still, and Matt Corral's hurt. But hopefully we can get some of those guys back this week because A&M's a very physical team, and it's going to be a tough matchup for Ole Miss. But you know, that'll come when it does. But the main thing I want to talk about now, these playoff rankings just came out, is that I think they're an absolute mess. I've got 2 points to hit on, and I'll start with my team first. I think we're better than the Bicycle College and Baylor, and the reason I think we're better than Baylor is we've lost to two top 17 teams on the road, and Baylor has lost to two unranked opponents.
Yeah. Yeah, I would take Ole Miss over Baylor. But now the rankings aren't necessarily based on who people think this team would beat that team and this team would beat that team. I mean, there's more that goes into a ranking than you don't just rank the teams in the order of who you think would beat who.
Right. I still think we have a better resume than Baylor and the Bicycle College, but that's just what I think. And then this 6, 7, and 8, Oklahoma being ranked at 8 just tells me they have to win out or they're done.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even think they can lose one game.
No, Georgia's the only team that can lose a game and make the playoff. There's not another team in America right now. Anybody right now that loses another game this season is out of the playoff with the exception of Georgia.
Mm-hmm. And then apparently, according to the committee, they talk about head-to-head all the time. Apparently, it doesn't matter because Michigan's ahead of Michigan State.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
I didn't listen to the guy they send. I saw him talking. He gives his list of excuses of why this team is ranked here and this team there. So I didn't hear what he said, but I don't see how they justify, because the eye test tells me that Ohio State is better than Oregon today. But they've got Oregon ahead of Ohio State, and the only reason you could possibly have Oregon ahead of Ohio State right now is the head-to-head. Well, then you look at Michigan and Michigan State. Okay, you might think Michigan is better, but Michigan State beat them. So what are we doing here? Do the games matter or not?
There's no consistency.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't matter. And then, it's just it's a mess. And look, I personally still think that Alabama, other than Ohio State, Alabama would beat every team in this poll. But it seems, more and more every week Georgia is by far the best team in the country. And like you said, they're the only team who can take a loss. The rest of these teams have just got to win out. But anyways, that's about all I got. I'll talk to you later.
All right, buddy. Thanks for calling in. It was good to hear from you. Good luck to Ole Miss this weekend. Friction Vixen, thank you for hitting the PayPal link to support the show tonight. I really appreciate that. She says, happy UGA, Uncle Lou. It is happy, isn't it? It's a great day to be alive. Great day to be alive. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, what's up, Lou? It's Vic, too.
My God, Vic, too. What are you doing staying up late and calling into the call-in show? Sir, you never call into the call-in show. This is quite an honor and a privilege, sir.
Yeah, and I know. I guess I haven't been calling into the call-in shows lately since, I've been talking to you, every Thursday morning.
Yeah. You're a staple on the morning show, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, so this playoff committee is a joke.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, how is BYU a top 15 team? Yeah, that's a joke.
It is a joke.
And then also, of course, I disagree with having Cincinnati at number 5, and I disagree with having Oklahoma at number 8. I mean, they really have no respect for Oklahoma. Yeah, I don't know where all this Oklahoma hate comes from.
Do you think, because the playoff committee is made up mostly of athletic directors, and the announcement that Texas and Oklahoma were joining the SEC was not popular anywhere. No one liked it except maybe the SEC. No one else liked it. Do you think some of these committee members are holding a grudge against Oklahoma?
Holding a grudge? Well, I don't know. Yeah, they could be. Yeah,
could be.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I wouldn't have any idea. So I would have Oklahoma and Cincinnati switched. Yeah, I would have had Oklahoma at number 5 and would have put Cincy at number 8.
I've got Oklahoma at 2.
Wow.
Yeah. They haven't lost anybody.
Yeah, and also I disagree with having Michigan ahead of Michigan State.
I do too. I don't understand. I know that eye test matters.
It matters.
I think eye test, you can't help but use the eye test, but not when you have two teams with the same record that have actually played. You don't need the eye test then. The eye test is to determine whether or not Alabama is better than Michigan, because they both have one loss, but they haven't played each other. So who do you just think is better? That's who you would rank higher. But when I've seen two teams play, and this is even worse than the Oregon-Ohio State thing. Oregon-Ohio State played 2 months ago. Michigan State and Michigan played 2 weeks ago. And we saw Michigan State beat them. I don't understand.
Yeah, and they have Oregon ahead Ohio State, though.
Right. And if they were using the eye test there, they'd have to put Ohio State ahead of Oregon because the eye test tells you that Ohio State's better than Oregon today. So they're using head-to-head to separate Ohio State and Oregon, but they're using eye test to separate Michigan and Michigan State, and the scenarios are the same. 2 Power 5 teams with the identical records that have played each other. It makes no sense. I have a feeling that will be the biggest complaint coming out of this week's poll is how do you justify head-to-head for this matchup, but then eye test for this matchup? I have a feeling that'll be the biggest complaint coming out of this week's poll or ranking.
Yeah, and Michigan hasn't played Purdue, or have they? I'm not sure, but I don't think they have.
Purdue do. Purdue plays Ohio State this week.
Yes.
So they got another chance to knock somebody off.
So I could see if maybe Michigan beat Purdue, but
they didn't.
Then they would have a common opponent, but they didn't because they didn't play.
Well, they have a common opponent in each other.
Yes, they do. That's right.
Common opponents are something you should use to differentiate between two teams who haven't played each other.
Yeah, so like Georgia and Alabama, and of course the comparative data point being Florida.
Right. And even that, you don't even need that in this case because Georgia's undefeated and Alabama's not. But let's say Georgia had one loss to whoever, and you're trying to figure out where you're going to rank Georgia and Alabama. Then maybe you do eye test and you look at common opponents, Florida, and you go from there. But you don't need common opponents with Michigan, Michigan State. You have a head-to-head. So I agree with you, Vic.
Yeah,
makes little to no sense.
Yeah, we're about to have 2 more common opponents with Bama this week. So
yeah. Now the good news is, while this is fun to complain about now, outside of the Cincinnati argument, I don't think there's going to be any debate when the final ranking comes out.
Right.
I
think if Alabama loses another game,
Georgia's going to be 1. If Ohio State wins out, they're going to be in. If Oregon wins out, they're going to be in. And if Oklahoma wins out, they're going to be in. If any of those teams don't win out, then you're going to get an argument about Cincinnati versus some other team, probably Alabama.
Right.
Should you put in a 13-0 Cincinnati, or should you put in an 11-2 Alabama? It'll come down
you
to
should
that.
put in a 13-0 Cincinnati.
Thanks.
Well, I'd rather see a 13-0 Cincinnati.
Thanks. All right, Vic, too. Thank you for the call, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir. We'll talk to you Thursday morning on the Mustard Shoe. Some people watching this show don't know about the Mustard Shoe, and they're really missing out. It's on the top secret second channel. Not everybody knows about the second channel, but Uncle Lou has a second channel, and there's a morning show every morning at 8 a.m. Well, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Uncle Lou. How you doing?
Doing great.
Nice. I just wanted to call back and touch base with the QB situation after we seen it play out against Mizzou.
Yes.
We kind of had a little disagreement last week, but I think it kind of played out the way we both thought. I thought they made a good decision, and they stuck with Stetson. JT still looking a little rusty, but they still played him. So I'm glad about that. What do you think?
We need one quarterback.
We need one quarterback?
Yes. Not 2.
Well, Bama beat us twice with 2 quarterbacks. What do you mean we don't need 2 quarterbacks?
Bama played one quarterback the entire year. Both those years. They played one quarterback the entire year, both those years. They put the backup in garbage time. They didn't rotate quarterbacks during the year. That's fake news.
Yeah, but they still had 2 good quarterbacks, and they both played.
What does that matter?
That they had 2 good quarterbacks, and the backup came in and beat us twice. And I'm glad that where we're sitting is all I'm saying.
Were those backup quarterbacks playing defense for Alabama? Because we didn't score a point in either one of those games in the second half. So
no, but it was the backup that beat us. I mean, they didn't go out there and do nothing. They beat us.
Okay, so this year we have two good quarterbacks. If we score 0 in the second half, are we beating Alabama this year?
No.
Exactly. Jake Fromm lost us those games, not Alabama's backup.
Get back to my point. Did you not agree with the assessment of JT after seeing him against Missouri?
What assessment?
That the reason they ain't been playing him because he kind of looked kind of rusty. I mean, I agreed with it after seeing him.
Well, they ain't been playing him because
I know he needs to play.
Oh.
No, you said he should have played
Daniels
against
is the
Florida.
better quarterback, period. End of story. There's nothing else to say. Kirby has chose Stetson Bennett, and we're going to go as far as Stetson Bennett will take us. Thank you for the call. I'm not arguing about the quarterback situation anymore. JT Daniels is better than Stetson Bennett, period, in every conceivable way. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
What's up, Uncle Lou? It's Caleb, man. How you doing tonight?
Hey, Caleb. I'm good. How are you, buddy?
Good, man. Hey, so that last caller, I got one thing for you. Stetson good, JT better. Go Dogs, woof, woof, Larry Munson, Herschel Walker. Let me go on with one more thing.
You must be in Uncle Lou's Facebook group.
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so anyways, we're going to, well, I've been talking to a bunch of Tennessee fans this week, man. I don't even know, dude. I mean, I understand they got a better offense than what we're going up against probably all year. But realistically, I mean, it's not, I mean, it might be a good game first half, second half, no. But I mean, here's my real question. So let's say some magical way Tennessee finds a way to beat Georgia, which will not happen. And Georgia somehow plays a team in the SEC championship, whether it be Bama or A&M. Do you see a 2-loss Georgia team making the playoff? Yes or no?
No.
Yeah, I totally agree. Even though they would be technically still be the best team in the nation.
I don't think they'd be the best team in the nation if they lost 2 games.
Okay. That's pretty much it. Also, Oklahoma 8 is disrespectful in my opinion.
Yeah.
I understand they haven't played nobody. I understand they almost lost to Tulane. And I understand they almost lost to Kansas. But they're still in
almost losing has to be better than actually losing. Doesn't it?
That's true. Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I mean, Oregon,
I agree.
Oregon actually lost to Stanford. Alabama actually lost to Texas A&M. So I don't know. Oklahoma at 8. And I'm no Oklahoma fan. I mean, I don't hate Oklahoma. I don't have a reason to. But that just seems, I don't know. It's hard to justify Oklahoma at 8 to me. I don't understand it.
I don't understand it either. It's weird. I mean, if anything, they deserve top 6. But, you know, I'm not on the playoff committee. The playoff committee is trash, like what Vic said, and what probably most of the chat and what most of the college football playoff would say as well. So that's all I got for you tonight, Lou. Hope you have a great night, man, and I'll talk to you later.
All right, buddy. Thanks for calling, man. Jair Jet says, is Kirby saving JT for a fake punt on 4th and 11? Exactly. I know you probably typed that in an attempt to troll me, but you can't troll me on the Fromm Fields thing. I mean, because I knew the shit was wrong from the get-go, and I was the most irritating, loudmouth, obnoxious idiot on the internet, screaming it from the highest mountaintop for an entire year. So you can't troll me on that. Rob D, thank you for the super chat. People talk about Kirby not developing talent. Stetson Bennett is a semifinalist for the Davey O'Brien Trophy. Stetson Bennett had to leave and go to JUCO to get developed, sir. We don't develop quarterbacks at UGA. Other positions, yes. You know, DeAndre Baker was a 3-star and won the Thorpe Award. Jordan Davis is a 3-star and is the most impactful defensive player in America. But quarterbacks, no. There's not a single quarterback that has come to UGA since Kirby got there that was better the day he left than he was the day he got there. Not a single one. Fromm got worse every year. Stetson Bennett had to go to JUCO to develop. Justin Fields had to go to Ohio State. Jacob Eason had to go to Washington. And you tell me, has JT Daniels gotten better since he got to UGA? You tell me. You tell me. Jonah, thank you for the super chat. He says, I'm not serious, but 64-team playoff. Yeah, that's where we're headed, ain't it? Because if you do a 12-team, that's not fair to the 13th team, right? And if you do a 24-team, that's not fair to the 25th team. Yeah, you just keep going and going and going. James Johnston, thank you for the super chat. Put some respect on Oklahoma's name. I have been putting – now, I don't think – look, Oklahoma's not winning a playoff game, in my opinion. I mean, Oklahoma – has an offense that's not as good as it has been the last 4 or 5 years, and they have a defense that's just as bad. So I don't think they're going to win a playoff game. I'm not some Oklahoma homer, but having them at 8, I think, is ridiculous. So if that's as far as I'm willing to go in terms of putting respect on Oklahoma's name. And I had Oklahoma number 1 in my preseason poll. So nobody's more disappointed in Oklahoma than I am. I can promise you that. I can promise you that. Good morning, but you're on with Uncle Lou, though.
Mr. Uncle Cousin Lou, this is TB here. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing good. For those that don't know, this is my token black friend. Good to hear from you, sir. Cancel Uncle Lou! Cancel Uncle Lou!
Well, every week I get a couple of hours out of the fields, and so I figured I'd steal the house phone and give you a call on this here show, and wanted to talk about that Disney dog that called in earlier that kept trying his hardest to beat around Megan Mullins Bush to prove a point that Stetson Bennett was better. Stetson Bennett throws interceptions. Stetson Bennett throws stupid ass passes. Oh, but he's not rusty. He's good. JT Daniels comes in and it bounces off of somebody. He didn't 5 yards overthrow him. He didn't 10 yards overthrow him and throw an interception.
Well, it was
he
a
didn't
bad
throw
pass,
it
though.
5 yards.
I mean, it was behind him.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was a
bad pass. I mean, could it have been caught? Yes. So I don't want to pretend like that was a perfect pass, because then we're ragging on Stetson for no reason and then giving JT benefit of the doubt. So, I mean, I think Stetson is good and probably good enough to win us a national title with this defense that we have. That's not the point to me. Let me ask you this: can we win the national title without George Pickens?
Yes.
If he comes back, should he play?
Yes.
Why?
Because he is the best receiver in all of college football.
Well, and more importantly, he's the best receiver on our team. And the best player at a position should play. The idea that we can win a game, the idea that we can beat Missouri. Why did Jordan Davis play against Missouri?
Exactly, because he's the best D tackle on our roster.
Right. We could have beat Missouri without Jordan Davis, but you play your best players. And if this was the only time, the only year that this had happened, I don't think it would be such a big deal. But this is not the only time this has happened. This has happened almost every single year that Kirby has been here. That's why it's such a big deal. That's why he gets asked about it every single day. It's not a knock on Stetson. Stetson's a great story, and they can make a Rudy movie about him in 20 years, and that'll be great. I'll watch it. But he's not the best quarterback on this team.
And my thing to the Disney Dogs is, these are the same people that when Mark Richt was getting fired, they thought it wasn't a good idea. When we hired Kirby Smart, they said he'd do terrible. And now we're here and they're like, just trust the coach, man. Just listen. And it's like that's why I hate dealing with those kind of fans, because they can never criticize their own team. Right. Like it can never be better in the like an enjoy the moment type deal.
All they ever say
and
is,
like you said,
let the coaches coach. Let the coaches coach. Like fans can't have opinion. You know what it is? Georgia's been really good for several years now, and there is a lot of people on social media. I don't want to say they became Georgia fans a couple of years ago, but they just started caring a couple of years ago. And these are the people with the let the coaches coach thing. Complaining about a coach's personnel decisions as far as who should be playing and who's not is as old as football. From the time the first football game was ever played, some fan was complaining that someone else should have been playing instead of whoever. This
I bet Jeff Webster was complaining.
But these people act like, well, we're 9-0. I know we're 9-0. Don't believe me. No one's happier than me. But, I mean, it's just fans have opinions, and this blows some people's mind.
And last thing, and then I'll let you go. Were you as equally surprised that Kirby allowed JT to have the entire second half?
No, I wasn't surprised because he's got no interest in playing Beck or Vandergrift. I mean, that's abundantly clear. I mean, what's our average margin of victory? 30 points. Beck has 4 pass attempts this year. Rock has 0 or whatever it is. I mean, so I wasn't surprised at all.
Well, that was kind of I was surprised because I thought that he wasn't going to play JT at all because he didn't want any kind of tension or anything of JT doing better. And I was literally JT comes in and we score in like a minute and 30 seconds.
I mean, I would rather JT Daniels get an opportunity to play in the first half with the starting offensive line and with Zeus and James Cook, and instead of playing with the second string offensive line and Dejon Edwards at running back. I mean, nothing against those guys, but I don't think it's a very fair comparison to look at the second half and try to compare what JT Daniels did in the second half to what Stetson Bennett did in the first half. I would like to see JT get a few series in the first half when, in the first quarter when the team is fresh and with all the starters and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's pretty much it. And if Jeff Webster, if you can call in and let us know how the first ever football game recorded in history went, please do. All right, I'll see you later, Lou.
All right, TV, good to hear from you, buddy. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, this is John.
Hey, what's up, John?
I just had a question. You were talking earlier about you think that A&M would be a more competitive game. Let me ask you a question now. If you're Georgia and you're going into that game, you're obviously going to be the favorite. Everyone knows that Georgia's clearly the best team. As a Bama fan, I'd admit, but if I were Georgia, I'd be more nervous to play Bama as being a favorite than an underdog. How do you feel about that?
I honestly just football a lot of times is a game of matchups. Like I'll be honest with you, I would be more worried about playing Ole Miss than I would Bama.
You think Ole Miss were explosive offense?
And it's not because I think Ole Miss is better than Bama. It's about the matchups. I'm worried about what could possibly happen to Georgia's defense if there's a team that's able to protect their quarterback for more than 3 seconds, which would allow their wide receivers to get deep down the field. Because our secondary has played well this year, but a lot of that credit, in my mind, needs to go to the front seven because these QBs have had no time to throw the ball. So what you end up with is a lot of teams having to throw short passes. It's not that I think our secondary is bad, but it is young and largely untested. So somebody like Ole Miss, if they were able to protect Matt Corral, I mean, let's be honest. Without Jameis Williams at Alabama, they might have 4 losses right now. I don't know what else Alabama has on offense. Nothing is what they have. Nothing. They can't run the ball. Their offensive line is terrible. You get pressure on Bryce Young, he folds like a dollar store lawn chair. All they have is a transfer from Ohio State that wasn't good enough to play there. That's all they have.
Yeah, I think I think Robinson, the running back. I mean, he's all right. I mean, is he going to be playing on Sunday? Maybe, maybe not. I don't think so. But I think they lost a lot, and it's showing. And their offensive line is pedestrian, and they're going to get their quarterback. I think Bryce Young. If that was Tua, he would have been out in the second game. I mean, this guy's been taking hit after hit, and it's just disgraceful how they played against LSU. I think it has a lot to do with Bill O'Brien. I wasn't a fan of the hire going in. I mean, it was whatever. I know he was coordinator with the Patriots.
Well, you know, they have two ex NFL head coaches on the offensive staff. Bill O'Brien and
a fan of neither.
And the offensive line coach, I can't remember his name now. And he's
Doug Marone.
Yeah, he's starting to get a lot of blame too.
I never seen this in my life. It's like 6 yards.
Yeah, that's
6 yards.
Embarrassing.
It's disgraceful.
Yeah.
I mean, but like I was touching before. I mean, if I'm a Georgia fan, if Bama survives, because I mean, you got to play Arkansas at home, which I'm not as nervous, but I mean, you never know with the way this team's playing. And then they got to go to Auburn, which is the last 2 times they played there. They shit the bed. So I mean,
look, I'll tell you how surprised I am. This game this past weekend, Alabama game, probably cost me $500 because I made a bet with a guy. at the beginning of the season that Alabama would average 5 yards per carry or more this season. And after this, they only got 6. And so now they're at 4.1. Now, the 4.1 to 5 might not sound like a lot, but over the course of a season, to try to make up an entire yard per carry in 3 or 4 games is hard to do. So they're probably going to finish with less than 5 yards per carry, which is going to cost me $500.
They would have to have a big next. I mean, they might next week. They'll probably play a 1-8 New Mexico State.
I hope they run for 400 yards this weekend.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe who knows? Maybe not. The way this offensive line's playing, they look like a high school team.
Yeah.
This guy killed.
Whatever happened to Trey Sanders? Do you know whatever happened to Trey Sanders?
I mean, they don't use him.
He had an awful knee injury. I know that, like his freshman year or something.
Got into a bad accident last year. It was like he was in severe condition.
Okay.
So he missed all last year because of that. And then, I mean, either way, he probably wasn't going to get in because you had Najee Harris and Robinson. And obviously Najee Harris is one of the better Alabama backs.
Who's the number 2 right now for Alabama? I know Brian Robinson is the primary back, but
Williams, is that his name?
Okay. All right.
Yeah, he's actually, they have a few good freshman wide receivers. They don't use them that much. It's really John Mechie and Jamison Williams and Buck. And they got these 2 tight ends that and Billingsley. I mean, his stock went down. I mean, he's definitely not playing nearly as good as he was last year. And then they have that other guy. I forget his name. I mean, he's a defensive player that converted to a tight end, so he's not even originally a tight end. So I don't know. I just, like I was saying before, if Bama survives, and you know what I mean, because you never know. Every week they look like a different team.
Yeah.
If I'm Georgia and Bama survives and somehow gets there, and they're the underdog in that team, I would be a little bit more uncomfortable with that game as if Alabama was undefeated and they were rolling off season. Yeah. Georgia was coming in, no one expecting them to win, because I've seen how that's played out, and Bama's lucky to even win. Maybe not last year, but the 2 years before that, I don't know how Bama even won those 2 games. They should have lost both those games, but they didn't. So,
all right, buddy. Well, hey, thank you for the call, and tell that baby Uncle Lou said go Dogs.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Jim Deccan, thank you for the super chat, sir. He says, I'm the biggest Georgia fan, but I'm also the biggest critic of Georgia. Yeah, that's one thing that irritates a lot of Georgia fans about me is I'm capable of criticizing my favorite team. And to some people, that's an unforgivable sin. But I don't know. That's just how I'm wired, I guess. Jair Jet, thank you for the super chat. Big 12's direction when OU and Texas leave. The toilet. I mean, it's not good. You're losing your two best programs. Now, I know that there are years where Texas is not the second best team and years where Oklahoma's not the first best team, but it's, you're losing your two biggest brands, the two most recognizable names. I think it's a big hit for the Big 12. Brandon Nodine, thank you for the super chat. He says, Boomer Sooner. Florida still sucks, and go Dogs. Justin Healy, thank you for the super chat, sir. He says, Kirby's about to show the afterburners on this blank that have never been displayed. Period, point blank. I hope you're right. The wide receivers were the healthiest they've been all year this past weekend. It was good to see Jermaine Burton get some big catches and a touchdown. Kearis Jackson is coming along. If we get, I would even settle for one of the two. If we can get either Blaylock or Pickens. And I heard today that Blaylock is practicing with the scout team. So that doesn't mean he's likely to play this week, but it does mean he's getting pretty close, I would assume. Pickens, I'm not convinced when or if we'll see him. Maybe the playoffs. We'll see. Adam Conklin, thank you for the super chat. He says, keep rocking the tool and respect the do-do. Respect them Boilermakers. Up there making boilers. I will keep rocking the tool. That I can promise you. Alec Dickey, thank you for the super chat. Emu caps for breakfast. I don't know what that means or even care. I don't know what I'm going to do with y'all. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, what's up, Lou? How you doing?
Doing great.
Yeah, it's Ballard calling in. I want to get...
Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou. I hear a dog barking in the background. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Me?
Yes, you.
Is it me?
It's either you, or or your
hey.
dog. It's either you or your dog. I can't tell.
Yeah, no, it's definitely me because the fucking dogs are barking, bro.
Okay, good.
So look, Uncle Lou, and this is Fresh and Vixen here.
Yes,
I am calling, and I want to know where you stand on next week's game versus the Volunteers.
I would not be surprised if Tennessee scored 20 points. I mean, they are a good offense. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's no denying that. I mean, I hate Tennessee. It's been fun to pick on them the last few years. But their offense is dangerous. They run the hurry up. I mean, they're going to try to run 100 plays. I don't think they'll be able to run 100 plays like they normally do because they're going to have some 3-and-outs. And that hurts their defense. Their defense ends up getting right back out on the field when that happens. So I don't think Tennessee's got any chance to win the game. But I expect the crowd to be ridiculous. And it wouldn't surprise me Tennessee comes out hot, and scores a little in the first half. But I think Georgia will pull away in the second half. Would they cover the spread? I don't know. 20.5 is a lot. We'll see. But I think Georgia wins somewhere in the neighborhood of 40-something to 20-ish.
40-something to 20. Okay. Because, I mean, if you really look back at it, I mean, they lost to Florida. And then they won the Gamecocks, but the Gamecocks just beat the shit out of Florida the other week.
Did you say look back at it?
And yeah.
Okay.
So look back at the scores. I don't think that Tennessee's going to gain that much on us.
I thought you meant something else.
Am I the only one?
No, I don't think you're the only one.
Okay, because, I mean, I hear a lot of crap talkers up in your comment section, and I really don't think that they're going to score that much on us. So I kind of want to know, hey, dog, be quiet. See, the dogs are barking, and they're going to come at you. I'm just saying.
But so you think about a some 20, 25 point spread or something?
Well, we're favored by 20. I mean, I guess it depends. I mean, it's hard because I don't know what the QB situation is going to be on Saturday. I don't know who's playing. I don't know when they're playing. I don't know how often they're playing. I don't know. If JT Daniels played start to finish, I would take Georgia minus 20.5, and I wouldn't think twice about it. But I don't know. So, but I think either way.
Yeah, but we constantly throw Stetson Bennett in there, and he's like confused, and he throws his interceptions. Trust me, I get it, but I just kind of want to know where you still on the whole factor. I really think the Dogs are obviously going to be on top. I'm a Dogs fan, and this is the year the Dogs are on top. But
I think so too, and I am happy that the Tennessee fans actually think they have a chance to win. They're all over Twitter talking about tearing the goalpost down when they beat us and all this kind of stuff. So it's good to beat Tennessee when they have their chest puffed out.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Bring some Heinz ketchup because we're the Dogs. They're the Volunteers. They bring the mustard, and I plan on spreading that Heinz ketchup all over them this year.
I think that's a great idea.
I know my husband, TJ thinks it's kind of. He's like, "What did you just say, Heinz ketchup?" But if the Volunteers are going to be that dirty where they spread that shit all over their own team, I'd be willing to spread that Heinz ketchup all over them. Hey, dog, come here.
It looks like Josh Heupel eats plenty of ketchup, by the way. And everything else in sight.
And I'm just curious because, I did see the DVD stream today. Are you going to take him up on that bet?
No, I'm not interested in a bet with BVD. And I already let him know that.
Okay. And, yeah, no worries. You tell me to bring the Heinz ketchup.
I'll have mine ready. And plenty of empty mustard bottles, too. And also.
All right. Well, I'm going to try to hold you up, but, I've been sitting here waiting around, and I just wanted to hear what your opinion was on this Volunteers game. I think we're going to dominate.
I appreciate you calling in, Miss Vixen. And can I get you to say one more thing again before you leave?
What's that? Go Dogs?
No. I want you to say one more time, look back at it, like you said before.
Look back at it. Look back at it.
There you go. All right. Thank you for the call.
Yeah.
I'm going to hell. I'm going straight to hell. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Lou, sir. How are you?
Slim Shady, my man. What's up, man? Hey, y'all get that struggle bus prepared? I know it had 2 flat tires and a busted radiator. 33-30 over Georgia Tech.
I know, right? It's like I told Sea-Dog. I said, they tried their best. They coughed up the ball 3 times to give y'all as good a shot as you could get to win that game. And you still managed to lose.
Who this is worst for? This is the worst for the people who want Manny Diaz fired. Because they can still point at this game and complain, oh my God, we only beat Georgia Tech 33-30. We were losing most of the game. But at the end of the year, this is another win in the win column, which is going to make it harder for that to happen. So that's who this is worst for. The crowd of Miami fans who want Diaz fired.
Yeah, well, and if you actually watch more than just the highlights of the game, that defense is starting to come around. That defense only gave up 17 points to Georgia Tech. The rest of it was turnovers on the offense, and it wasn't even the quarterback. Charleston Rambo coughed up the ball after a big catch. Jalen Knighton coughed up the ball on a decent run. I mean, it wasn't a big run, but he coughed up the ball on a decent run. And then the tight end Arroyo coughed up the ball after a nice little 20-yard gain. That's the only thing that kept the game close.
Rambo's been one of y'all's
giving them the ball like that.
Rambo's been one of y'all's best players this year too, hadn't he? The wide receiver, he's good.
He has, and that's why I'm willing to. I mean, everybody coughs up the ball at some point. That's why I'll forgive him for that.
Yeah. So what's left for Miami now?
Especially, Well, Doak Campbell Trailer Park is next, and deal with old Daniel Boone on that choke pony.
Man, this is going to be a good one. I'm excited just as a college football fan. I mean, this is one of those games where I said this earlier, I think, on another show. Unfortunately, like the last couple of years, this game has kind of came and went, and no one noticed. You know, because Florida State was so bad, everyone knew y'all were going to beat them and all that kind of stuff. And that feels weird, you know, as a college football fan. Like, and because of my age, like I grew up where this Miami-Florida State game was like the game every year. It didn't matter who you were a fan of. You were watching this game every year. And we've lost that in the last few years. But I feel like we have it back now, not because both the teams are great again, but because I do think this could be a competitive game. Like, I don't expect Miami to beat them by 30 points, which is what I expected last year and the year before and all that.
Well, I mean, even I'd be lying if I said I expected them to blow them out as bad as they did. Just going by the history of the series, blowouts are rare. I mean, rare. I think you've had like 3 blowouts in the series since '95.
Yeah.
So it's not something that happens very often. You know, I figured, okay, last year Florida State was bad. It's probably a 10-point win. So, like I said, I'd be lying if I said I thought they were going to do what they did. To me, this game's going to say something about Florida State. You know, whether or not they've given up on the season or if they're still in it.
Yeah.
Because I think you're right. It can be a good game. I still think Tyler Van Dyke's going to come out and have another great game. I've got no reason to think otherwise. I mean, you're looking at 5 weeks in a row now. He's put up over 300 yards passing and at least 3 touchdown passes.
Right. Yeah, he's been playing really good the last month or so. Me and you talked about that, I think, on the morning show the other day when you called in. Was that last week, I think? I think it was. When you called in the morning show, we talked about that. Yeah. Yeah, he's been playing really good.
Well, I didn't realize until I read an article the other day. You know, over this 5-week stretch, he's the number 3 quarterback in college football.
Oh, wow.
Charleston Rambo's like the number 4 or 5 wide receiver in all of college football.
Yeah.
Over this last little stretch. So, I mean, they've got something figured out. I saw, granted, it's Georgia Tech, but that defense is getting something together as well. And I was trolling Pinecone a little while ago, talking about all those sad Miami fans. I was like, y'all realize if things work out just right, I said, Manny, and we talked about this, Manny can bring in the very first ACC championship, and Manny can still win 10 games.
Yeah, that's true. True.
And that's just going to break all their little hearts.
Yeah, it will.
It really is.
Oh, they'll be big mad.
But they'll be okay.
Yeah, they'll get over it.
Oh, and they will, because they all still want him fired, ridiculously enough.
That doesn't surprise me.
I for the life of me, I can't comprehend it. I do not get it. I mean, to me, and this is something I've heard you say, you know, short of, you know, an 0-12 or 1-11 season, why would you even think about firing somebody in their 3rd year?
Right. I agree. Let them get a full roster of their players is my general rule, which would be, 4 years minimum. Yeah. And barring some sort of catastrophic season or an off the field issue. Yes. I am for the 4-year deal. Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah. Well, and they're trying to point to, you know, the defense has played bad this year compared to what it's been. And, you know, Manny's supposed to be a defensive guy. And for the most part, they're right. Compared to what Miami defenses have been over the past several seasons, it has been worse. But considering that, you know, 5 out of the last 6 years that defense has carried that team, you know, 2017, for example, I mean, you saw no offensive production. It was all the defense and all the turnovers they were able to generate.
Yeah.
I can give the defense 1 year that they're not able to carry the team.
Right.
I mean, I don't think you'd be too mad if 1 year Kirby comes out and, okay, his defense is ranked 20th instead of 1st.
Yeah, and it's easier to accept that as a Georgia fan after years and years of having a great defense, and you say, okay, this is just a one-off. I've seen him do it before. I'm sure he can do it again, type of thing.
Yeah, well, see, I can't even get that out of them. I mean, now they're trying to go back and rewrite history and say, well, the defenses have never been that great. What?
Okay. All right, so score prediction for the game this weekend. Your Miami Hurricanes versus Florida State. Score prediction.
35-24.
All right.
Miami wins.
We'll find out. Thanks for the call.
I think it's going to stay much closer. Yes, sir.
Talk to you later. 35-24, Miami over FSU. So says Slim Shady Canes. We still have a few people on hold, but Uncle Lou has to take a potty break. So while I do that, you can enjoy this. I'll be right back. Dan Mullen out here firing people. Clown Mullen. How you doing, Clown? If you're watching this, Clown Mullen, I'm pretty sure that you are. Too little, too late, isn't it, buddy? Might be too little, too late for you, sir. Yeah, I know this news, I believe, broke yesterday, but I figured I'd make, and I did talk about it this morning a little bit on the morning show, but I said, well, let me get on here and yell into the camera for a few minutes. Dan Mullen fires defensive coordinator Todd Grantham. Fired the offensive line coach, too, who's been with Mullen since 2001. Wow. All the way back in the Bowling Green days when they were on, was that Urban Meyer's staff, I guess. They've been together since then. Lets him go. So, is this enough? Is this going to fix Florida? No, it's not. I'm not here to try to convince anybody that Florida's defense is great, because obviously it's not. And I'm no fan of Todd Grantham from back in his days as defensive coordinator at UGA. But is defense really the problem at Florida? Is it the biggest problem? I don't know. They're fifth in the SEC in total defense. Florida is fifth out of, 14 teams? Fifth in total defense. Now, offensively, Florida's 113th out of only 130 teams total in turnovers. Turnovers is really the issue with Florida this year. Their offense is terrible. Well, who's in charge of that? Dan Mullen. Clown Mullen. All right, back to the phone lines. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Hey, good. You?
Good, man. I got a question about quarterback. How many quarterbacks do we have right now?
5.
I know we're getting Gunner next year. Would that be is Bennett leaving next year, or does he get another year?
Well, he's got another year. Whether he leaves or not, I don't know. But he's got another year because of COVID, and so does JT Daniels. JT Daniels got 2 more years.
Okay, so you say when Gunner comes in, we'll have 6. On your opinion, out of those 6, if them 2 boys stay, what quarterback transfer?
Well, I think Carson Beck is definitely transferring, like tomorrow, like any day now. Won't surprise me one bit. If things continue the rest of this season the way they are now, and Stetson Bennett announces that he's coming back, I would not be surprised to see JT Daniels transfer. That would leave us with Stetson Bennett, Brock Vandergriff, Gunnar Stockton if he signs, and Will Muschamp's son, Jackson Muschamp.
Yeah. Well, you know Kirby has that good old boy system, so he's going to start Bennett next year.
Right.
We've seen that with Tom,
and then Jackson Muschamp, because he's a walk-on too.
Yep. So my prediction for the Tennessee game is 35-17. Sound about right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, like I'm not going to be surprised if Tennessee hits some plays. I mean, the problem, we have a great defense, but the problem is this is like Oregon back in 2010. I mean, Tennessee tries to run 100 plays a game. So, yeah, we have a great defense, but if we have some guys that are late lining up after a play and Tennessee snaps it quick and there's a guy out of position, I mean, if you've watched Tennessee games, they hit a lot of big passes to wide open receivers because the defense just wasn't ready at the snap of the ball. And that does worry me. So I do think it wouldn't surprise me at all to see Tennessee score some points in this game. But their defense
it's not
is horrendous. Their defense is absolutely horrendous.
Yeah. It's not going to give us time to get fresh legs in there when we want to.
Yeah, and their defense could be wore out this week to start with. Their defense was on the field for 45 minutes last week. Kentucky had the ball for 15 minutes. Tennessee had it for 45.
Wow. Yeah, it's going to be more points than everybody thinks it's going to be. So you have a good morning, Uncle Lou. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, you too. I appreciate the call. I said that backwards, I think, by the way. Tennessee had the ball for 15 minutes. Kentucky had it for 45. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Good morning, Uncle Lou. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
How you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Good. Hey, yeah. I'm just going to expound on the upcoming game for Georgia and Tennessee. And talking about that hurry-up offense, I just found out that Tennessee is ranked number 1 as far as plays ran per minute.
Yeah.
So they'll just tell you how fast how fast the offense goes. But I think that Tennessee it's going to help us as far as like running the ball and our offense too, because they don't have the second team. They don't have all of the offense and defensive players that we have to keep on running in and out. So they will get wore down by the second half.
Yeah, depth is an issue at Tennessee. I mean, even Tennessee fans, they'll freely admit that. You know, they're not at a full scholarship number. They had all the transfers. Depth is a serious problem at Tennessee. And when it comes to running that many plays or attempting to run that many plays, running your offense that quick, we saw this at Oregon 10 years ago. When it works, it's very hard to defend. The problem is when it doesn't work. Because when it doesn't work, your offense is off the field in about 40 seconds. And your defense is right back out on the field again. A 3-and-out for Tennessee is like a 40-second drive. That's the problem. That's the problem. You rush for no gain or throw an incomplete pass on first down, and then you're 2nd and 10, and you gain 4 yards, and then you're 3rd and 10, and you get sacked or throw another incomplete pass. You're running everything so quick. That's the problem. The 3-and-outs are the problem. Now, how many 3-and-outs will Georgia be able to get? I don't know. That's going to be the chess match there. That's the risk of running one of these super high-tempo offenses is the 3-and-out factor, because you end up – Georgia's going to come out, like you said, I think, and try to run the ball, which will leave Tennessee's defense on the field for 5-6-minute drives, right? Let's say we score or we kick a field goal, or even if we get 3 first downs but then have to punt. Still, Tennessee's defense has been out there for, let's say, 5 or 6 minutes, right? Tennessee gets the ball back. If they go 3-and-out, Tennessee's defense is back on the field literally 45 seconds later because they're running things so quick. And that's what happens. So I don't think Tennessee's defense is actually as bad as the numbers indicate. I do think Tennessee's defense is bad. But they're on the field so much because Tennessee's offense plays so fast, it skews the numbers a little. So that's the concern if you're Tennessee. What happens if you go 3-and-out multiple times, especially if you do it 2 or 3 times in a row? The game could be over. Yeah, Tennessee goes 3-and-out 3 possessions in a row, the game will be over at that point. The defense will be done.
So do you think that we're going to try to run the ball a little bit more this week since we don't have so many chances?
Maybe.
Defense
Yeah, maybe. And not even that. Even if we're throwing the ball, like I don't think Georgia's going to be snapping the ball with 25 seconds to go on the play clock. You know, they're going to let that play clock click down, try to keep Tennessee's defense on the field because they know when Tennessee's offense gets on the field, if you can get them off in a 3-and-out, that's how you run away from Tennessee in the second half. The Tennessee-Alabama game is a great example of this. Tennessee played Alabama real close for a full half, and in the third quarter, they kind of hung around, and then in the fourth quarter, it was all Alabama. And Tennessee was just wore out. Tennessee was just wore out defensively.
Yeah, I remember. And speaking of Alabama, did you know, between Nakobe Dean, the only linebacker I've seen this year in college that can compete with a linebacker that was on his level is Will Anderson.
Will Anderson is an animal, sir. He is I love Nakobe Dean. And in the preseason, I predicted that Nakobe Dean would win the Butkus Award for the best defensive player. I wouldn't be surprised though if Will Anderson won it. He is really, really good.
I know.
He's fun to watch.
And if it wasn't if Nakobe Dean, if Georgia wasn't one of the best defensive of teams in history, I would kind of give the edge to Will Anderson. But because Nakobe Dean is on Georgia, I kind of give the edge to Dean just because of what the team has.
Well, and they technically play different positions too, because Will Anderson plays on the outside and Nakobe Dean plays on the inside.
That's right.
Yeah.
And did you know that now I'm going to fall back into recruiting real fast. Did you know that Will Anderson is here? That he played here in high school. He's from Georgia, Hampton, Georgia.
Will Anderson is?
Yes, he's from Hampton, Georgia.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So we missed out on him then. You know? Well, you can't get them all. I'm not going to complain. Can't get them all, but yeah, man, yeah, he's really, really good.
Yeah. So, and one more thing that I think for the last couple of weeks, I really like the play. I always like the play, but for the last couple of weeks, I see Nolan Smith. He's really stepped up. I really like how he's playing right now.
Yeah, and that doesn't surprise me. We lost a couple of our outside guys after last year, right? Azeez Olajari went to the NFL. Jermaine Johnson transferred to Florida State. I think all of those guys were really, really good. And if you look at the play snaps, like Nolan Smith is playing twice as many plays this year as he played last year. I'm actually glad we lost a couple of our outside linebackers because I think we had too many, and so none of them were able to get I think
in a groove.
I think Nolan Smith could have been just as good last year as he is this year. Same with Adam Anderson, and I know he's dealing with some stuff right now, but there was such a rotation at the outside linebacker position the last few years because we had so many that had to get on the field. But yeah, I think Nolan Smith is really, really good.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, and do you think one last thing? Do you think like last week when we played Missouri, I seen Bennett when he throws the ball, he kind of leaves it up hanging in the air for a little longer than what. Like it's pretty much short, and then the receivers pretty much have a couple of steps on the DBs, but they have to come back and wait for the ball.
Yeah.
Do you think that might come back to bite us? Because when we face pretty much possibly a good chance Alabama, you got Jordan Battle at safety, a premier safety and coverage guy in the back. Do you think that might come back and bite us?
Yeah, Stetson Bennett does not have starting QB arm talent. There's just no debating that. Now he can run around. He's mobile. He's athletic. He's making better decisions this year than he did last year. But he does not have SEC arm talent. That's the issue. So there was another play that gets forgotten because everybody focuses on the underthrows. Me too. There was a throw Stetson Bennett threw this past weekend. It was an out route. It was about a 15-yard out route right on the sideline. And the Missouri DB jumped the route, and it looked like the ball literally went through the DB's hands, and Rosamie St. Jack caught it. That should have been an interception. That was a poor decision, and he doesn't have the arm strength to put that ball on a line like it needs to be to make that type of throw. And you saw that DB. I don't know how he didn't intercept that. It literally looked like it went right through his hands. And so that is an issue with Stetson Bennett. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He does not have – I think Jake Fromm had a better arm than Stetson Bennett. And I'm not a fan of Jake Fromm's arm either. And I think even Jake Fromm had a better arm than Stetson Bennett. So, yeah, he floats some balls down deep. They seem to hang in the air forever. And I do think – that's my worst nightmare, that he's going to have one of those deals like he had in the second half against Alabama last year where he gives the game away.
Yeah, but I think that we'll get him for Atlanta in Atlanta. But even though I think we still gonna make it to the playoffs. I remember when they last played Alabama here in Atlanta. Do you know where the varsity at? The hot dog place right like close to Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So when I went there right the day after Alabama played Georgia and won. And this guy, he was an Alabama fan, and he said, Alabama SEC champs, and it says "Sweet Home Atlanta" instead of "Sweet Home Alabama." I said,
we got to change
goodness
that.
gracious.
We got to change that.
We got to change it, but yeah, we will. But I'm looking forward to see those dogs hunt in Tennessee. So go dogs.
Go dogs. Thank you for the call, man. It was good to hear from you. That was a good call. I appreciate you taking the time to call in. Justin Healy, thank you for the super chat, sir. He says Nebraska got shafted by the refs that pulled a plastic plate out on the 50 and took a healthy one. That no pass interference call was insane. Ohio State doo-doo. Nobody has even acknowledged this fact. He said, pushed a plastic plate out and took a healthy one. A couple of nice big old solid turds right there on the 50-yard line, huh? Jackson Beverly, thank you for the super chat. He says, Florida fan here. Love the channel even when our program is down. Thanks for the laughs. I appreciate that, Jackson. I give Florida a hard time this year because they're a bad team this year. But, that's just what I do. In 2015 and 2016, guess what? I was giving Georgia a hard time. I'm a college football fan. Georgia's my favorite team. I think college football is the greatest sport on earth. And, to me, trash talking is just a part of college football, whether it's about my own team or this year, unfortunately, about your Florida Gators. But, it is what it is. I'm glad you appreciate the channel and the content for what it is. And I appreciate the super chat. Thank you for supporting the show. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, good muster in that. This is Baylor, man.
Baylor, man.
Heartbreaking.
Poverty on a riverbank.
Oh, yeah, we probably program, Will. We ain't no good.
What's the name of that river? It's got a weird name.
The Brazos River.
Brazos River, that's right, yeah. That is a nice stadium, man. A lot of people don't. A lot of people, because Baylor's not a national brand or whatever. People, if you're watching right now, you should Google. You should Google like an aerial view or something of the Baylor Stadium. It is really nice. It's you know what else? Northwestern too. Northwestern is like
that is a nice.
Now Northwestern is on the banks of whatever it is, Lake Michigan or one of the Great Lakes or whatever. Y'all are on that the river bank or whatever, but like it literally looks like the river almost flows into the stadium. Like it's really cool looking.
Yeah, I love it. It's the Brazos River actually flows through our entire campus.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to show to everyone that despite our heartbreaking loss, I don't hide after a loss. I come right back to the comment section.
Look at this, everybody. I mean, that's pretty cool. Georgia has...
Ain't it a beauty?
Now, this stadium here is completely open on one side. Georgia's not completely open on one side, but it's only a lower deck on one side. And then Georgia has, like, that iconic bridge that goes across. And because of that, they'll never fully enclose Sanford Stadium. They'll never make an upper deck over there because that bridge is so iconic. But this with the river, like, it literally comes right up to the... I mean, at least it looks like it comes right up to the stadium. I mean, that's pretty cool.
It looks like it, but there's a good solid area where you can if you see those tents right there. That area is usually full of tailgaters, and that people will get their boats and blare their music from them, tailgate on them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's a beauty, and that place will definitely be packed this Saturday.
Yeah, y'all got a big game.
And I'll be in one
week.
of those two.
Y'all got a big game this week. You think y'all can pull it off?
Yeah. Here's the thing. The reason that we lost was the same reason we lost to Oklahoma State. Play calling was atrocious.
Yep.
To your credit, here's the thing
to your credit, you did call in after that loss and say play calling, and so now you're saying play calling again. So what does that mean?
It's
y'all
play
gonna be looking
calling
for
again.
Y'all need a new OC, or what's the deal?
Who knows, man? Because the next week we beat the doo-doo out of WVUU. So I don't know. We'll have to see if we've made adjustments then. We'll just have to make adjustments again now. I mean, I have great confidence that, our receivers can, beat the OU secondary over the top, and we'll just have to see. And of course, we've got the 1-2 running back duo of Abram Smith and Tristan Ebner. So
yeah,
and of course,
I've talked about this on a couple of different shows now. If I'm a Baylor fan, it concerns me that Oklahoma's coming off of a bye week. A bye week is always an advantage.
Well, sure.
But in the case of Oklahoma, because they've switched quarterbacks to Caleb Williams, like I don't think you can overemphasize the importance of 2 more weeks of practice as the starting quarterback for Caleb Williams, because you know how these colleges are.
Yeah.
You have a limited practice time. So your starting quarterback is getting the primary reps in practice. And for a long time, that was Spencer Rattler. So I know Caleb Williams has been there, but he hasn't been getting the reps with the ones until 3 or 4 weeks ago, really. And now he gets 2 weeks. I think that's a big deal. And we talked about this on the Lunch Money show last night, me and Pete. It would be hard for me to pick Baylor this week because Oklahoma's coming off of that bye week, and Caleb Williams being a first-year starter and now getting these 2 additional weeks of practice like this with the bye week. Now, of course, Baylor can win. Oklahoma's been very inconsistent. Their defense is bad. So I truly believe Baylor can win the game. But I think it's hard to pick
I think
Baylor
we've definitely got a shot
in this spot. I mean, you lost last week. People are scratching their head about that. And you're like, well, Oklahoma off a bye week. So it doesn't surprise me.
Honestly, I love the doubt. I love when people doubt us.
Yeah.
But, ideally, coming off of a bye week, any good team should win the following week because, you've had that extra week to prepare. And usually the good teams, the good coaches capitalize, or at least they should.
Right.
I don't know, man. We'll just have to see. Regardless, I'm win or lose, as our alma mater says, I'll be still flinging my green and gold afar.
Well, good luck to you this weekend.
Basketball season too.
It is basketball season, and y'all are defending champs, so we'll see how that goes. Now,
reigning, defending, undisputed.
Can I count on you to tune in to the call-in shows even after the football season ends to give us a few basketball updates, or are you not into that?
Oh, I used to go to basketball games all the time.
Okay. Well, don't disappear
when
the football. Don't disappear when the football season ends, and February and March. You can call in every once in a while and give us some basketball updates.
Oh, of course. I'd be delighted.
All right, buddy. Thanks for the call. Good to hear from you. Good luck to Baylor this week. That'd be a good game. It's the one I'm going to watch. I'll be watching Baylor, Oklahoma, no doubt. Compton, thank you for the super chat. He says, hey, Lou, I love your content also. YouTube takes half of your donations, so do you have some website I can use? Well, I have a PayPal link. I'll post it in the chat section right there. I have a Cash App and a Venmo and all that, but I don't usually post all that because then it just looks like you're posting every pot. It's just annoying. But I appreciate the super chat. Thank you. And if you have a PayPal and don't mind using it, that's a good way to do it as well. I'm glad you like the show. Glad you enjoy it. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Lou.
Hey, what's up?
This is Scott Bohr. I'm an Ohio State fan.
Oh, yeah. I know your name from the comment section. Yeah. Good to hear from you, Scott.
Yeah. Let me just bypass my my usual normal nice guy thing, and let me just obliterate these college rankings.
Let's do it.
I'll go over my top 10 and tell you why, and then you tell me if you agree or disagree.
Okay.
Georgia, number 1. They are by far the most complete team in the NCAA right now. They just are. They got a monstrous defense. They got a pretty good offense. As far as the quarterback situation, I look at it as Bennett he's like an athlete. He's not a quarterback. He's an athlete.
Yeah.
JT is a quarterback.
Yeah.
So they're kind of running the guy, and I think Kirby does it on purpose. I think he sets the most talented quarterback on the bench all the time because he doesn't want his offense just obliterating people and running down the field, because then it puts his defense on the field too long, and of course it leads to exhaustion.
Yep, good. Yeah, I hear you. All right, who you got number 2?
Number 2, Oklahoma.
All right, so
I
far,
cannot believe.
So first of all, so far we're in complete agreement. So far, I've got Georgia 1, Oklahoma 2. So, but go ahead, give me your reasoning for Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, I don't care if your conference is down in a year or not. If you're in a major conference and you're at the top of that major conference, and Oklahoma's been there for years, they are getting everybody's best chance. And if they run undefeated, they should be granted the rankings from that. Unless you have somebody with an equal win-loss that maybe has better conference wins.
All right,
let
me just do the devil's advocate thing, because you mentioned Oklahoma being a known brand.
Right.
Last week.
Go ahead.
Forget now. Last week, where would you have had Wake Forest?
By what you're telling me, yes, I should have probably had Wake Forest up toward the top, because they are part of the ACC.
I had them at 9. Now, I don't think Wake Forest was the 9th best team in America last week, but I had them at 9 for what you're saying. If winning isn't the most important thing, why are we playing the games?
Exactly.
So
and that's the way I kind of fall in it.
I had Wake Forest at 9. And of course, they lost this week, so now we don't even, we don't have to debate the Wake Forest thing anymore. But I just was curious to ask you about that, considering what you said about the difference between, because there is a difference between Oklahoma. You can't look, these are human beings. You can't take the bias out of it. It's just there. People are going to assume on any random year that Oklahoma is better than Wake Forest, even if they have the same record, right? I mean, that's just how it goes. You can't take that away.
Right.
All right, so who do you have at number 3?
Cincy, we're the same there, I know.
Right, yep.
2 Power 5 teams on their schedule. They beat them both.
Yep. On the road.
I know they struggled recently a little bit, but I still got to give them the benefit of the doubt with the record, because all you're doing is telling the group of 5 they don't belong by doing them dirty like that.
Yeah.
And they've been good.
Yep. I'm with
Oregon, I got 4.
All right. I have Bama 4.
And the reason
I have Bama 4, but I'm okay with Oregon 4. I don't think that's ridiculous. So I'm okay with that. So what's your reasoning there?
The reasoning is because they have the best win out of all the one-loss teams against Ohio State.
Yes, they do. That is true. You're right.
Just straight up.
Yep.
I have Ohio State 5th for the same basic reason as I have Oregon above them. They have the best win of all the one-loss teams.
Yep.
In Penn State. Then I've got Alabama. The reason why I flipped Alabama to 6 is because what win stands out to you on their record?
Ole Miss. Their best win is Ole Miss. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's. Can you disagree? Can you disagree that Ole Miss is not as good as the other 2 teams that the other 2 teams played?
Yeah, and it's not like they beat Ole Miss by 50. I mean, they beat Ole Miss 42-21. I mean, not the game was never close, but it was 42-21. So yeah, that makes sense to me. And last week I had Alabama at 6. Yeah, no doubt.
And then I put Notre Dame at 7, but I did drop them to 9th, understanding your reasoning for that. They have struggled. They lost to Cincinnati. So I don't have a problem with dropping them to 9th. And then we're same. But the one question that bothers the crap out of me is Texas A&M had only lost to Arkansas.
Yep.
Their only loss was to Arkansas. Would the committee have them in 2nd and Alabama in 3rd?
Probably so. But to me, Texas A&M this year, is very similar to Oklahoma last year. Now, I don't think Texas A&M.
Yeah, they got a pretty good offense.
I don't think Texas A&M right now is one of the best 4 teams. But what I mean is, Oklahoma lost 2 games last year early in the season, and you can't overcome that without total catastrophe ahead of you. You know what I mean? You've got to have multiple 2-loss conference champions then, and all that. Like last year, I do think at the end of last year, Oklahoma was one of the best 4 teams. But I don't think you can put them in because your record has to matter. And they had 2 losses at the beginning of the season. So that cost them, you know. And A&M's in a similar situation right now. They lost 2 kind of unexplainable games at the beginning of the year. And I just don't think they can make that up.
Now, I do have concerns with my Buckeyes. That last game really had me scratching my head.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to diss Nebraska like you have been. 1-score losses, dude. They've just been finding ways to lose.
That's true. That's true. But at the end of the day, they're going to be 3-9.
I think the team could actually be pretty decent if they would just believe in themselves.
Yeah.
Because they got some talent on their roster, and they're pretty good on defense. But
I talk about this with Tennessee a lot. You have to learn to win, right?
Yeah.
Nebraska gets in the second half of these games. They look up at the scoreboard, and they go, we can't win. Because they've lost so many. And Tennessee, for a long time, has been in a similar situation. You know, whether they're up by 3 or down by 3 in the second half, Tennessee looks up at the scoreboard and goes, we're going to lose. You know, now they're starting to maybe overcome that now. We'll see. But winning is a learned behavior.
It's like Georgia, Oklahoma, Alabama. They've been winning so many years and having really good records for so many years. But Nebraska has been kind of the opposite. They've been bad for, about 8 years?
Yeah.
And, you know, you don't overcome that overnight. So I heard that Scott Frost was saying, I don't actually disagree with that. I think he's got to get his team's mentality that they are better than these teams that they're playing. Because they're just finding ways to lose. I actually think they got some pretty talented players.
Yeah.
And lastly, how good do you think Ole Miss is? Because I'm struggling to understand the SEC this year. I seriously am. Y'all are losing to teams that shouldn't. Arkansas, for Christ's sake. I live in Arkansas. They suck. In Alabama, I'm sorry. You need to stop saying roll tide roll this year. It's more like roll over tide roll over. Because that crap against Texas A&M was piss poor. The shit against Florida was piss poor. Good Lord.
LSU. Yeah, I actually think Alabama is worse this year than they were a couple of years ago when they went 10-2 and ended up playing in the Citrus Bowl or something against Michigan. They're worse this year.
Let me ask you a question. When is the last time that Alabama rushed for 6 yards?
Yeah, that's sad. And you know what? You know, even if you take away the sack yardage, because, you know, college football, which I disagree with this, college football takes your sack yardage away from your total rushing. But even if you take away all the sack yardage, Alabama only had 30 yards rushing. That's embarrassing. And this ain't the LSU defenses of 5 or 10 years ago. I mean, this is not a good LSU team.
No, I think they're going to really struggle with the teams they got left. I wouldn't even be surprised if that game goes down to the wire against their opponent this Saturday.
Well, not this Saturday. They play New Mexico. No. They play New Mexico this week.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Next week they play Arkansas. That's what you're talking about. They play Arkansas. They play New Mexico this week. They're 1-9 or something. But next week they play Arkansas, and then they play at Auburn.
And then Auburn.
And they haven't won at Auburn since 2015.
They'll beat them. Auburn just is not that good. As long as their defense can put pressure Nick's will fold.
Yeah.
He's another one. He's an athlete, not a quarterback.
Yeah. You make great points. Hard to argue. Thank you for the call. Good luck to your Buckeyes the rest of the way. I feel like there's a lot of people that would love to see Georgia versus Ohio State or Georgia versus Oklahoma. And as a college football fan, I hope we get one of those matchups somewhere in the playoffs. I just feel like there's a lot of people that want to see those games, Georgia versus Ohio State or Georgia versus Oklahoma. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Lou. Wanted to call and just get your...
You there? You cut out. Hello? I don't know what happened. I'm going to put you back on hold and come back to you in a second. And hopefully you can get your phone situation worked out. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Good morning, Uncle Lou. How's everything going in disgusted Georgia down there? Let's go, Brandon, sir.
Going great.
Good. I like the discussion about, it's a culture thing. It takes a while to learn how to win.
Right.
But I tell you, Lou, it don't take long to learn how to lose. Just ask Clemson.
They figured that shit out in a hurry, didn't they?
They figured it out real quick. Now, it took me a minute to figure out this college football playoff thing.
I believe you.
I've been thinking about it, and I couldn't figure out why they had Oklahoma down at 9. I'm with you. I don't know if I got them at 2, but they definitely shouldn't be at 9. No way. And
it's hard to understand.
The reason it's unbelievable. I mean, you got a team in a top conference that's undefeated, and inexplicably you got them at 9. So I think what they're doing, and I think you're dead on. I heard you say that they're screwing them because they're going to the SEC. I think you were dead on.
Yeah, I think there could be some truth to that. I really do think there could be some truth to that. I mean, a lot of people don't know who the playoff committee members are. They're mostly athletic directors from different schools across the country. And everyone was extremely pissed off when Oklahoma and Texas announced that they were coming to the SEC. And we've already seen some reprisal taken, right? The expansion to a 12-team playoff was all but a done deal until Oklahoma and Texas announced they were coming to the SEC. Now all of a sudden, people are throwing up all these roadblocks. So there could be some truth to that conspiracy theory.
I mean, I'm totally with you on it. And the smoke screen this is what I haven't heard anybody mention. The smoke screen is to distract everybody and keep them from talking about the fact that, you can't believe Oklahoma's at 9 is moving Michigan State over Michigan.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
It's a complete smoke screen. Complete smoke screen.
I'll tell you what. I think
everybody's going to be talking about Michigan State. They just beat Michigan, but they won't be talking about Oklahoma.
Now, just like most years, there's a lot to argue about right now in the second week of November. Most of that is going to get cleared up by the time the final rankings come out. But I just want your opinion on this. Let me assume a couple of things here and then get your opinion. Let's assume Georgia wins out, including a win over Alabama in the SEC title game. Let's assume Oregon and Ohio State win out. Let's assume Oklahoma and Cincinnati win out. Now, in that scenario, most likely you would have Georgia 1, Oregon 2, Ohio State 3. Who would you?
And you got to have Oklahoma at 4.
You would put Oklahoma.
You got to have Oklahoma.
You would put Oklahoma over Cincinnati if they're both 13-0. Okay.
If they both went out, yes.
Yeah, I think most people would too.
I don't see how you could put a Cincinnati team that doesn't play anybody all year and hasn't looked very impressive over the last 3 weeks ahead of an Oklahoma team that plays in an actual conference.
Yeah. Now, if I were to tell you also that Notre Dame ended the season at 11-1, would that change your opinion at all about Cincinnati?
no.
Okay.
Good win, but no, I'm still putting Oklahoma ahead of them.
I do think
they just haven't looked impressive enough against their other competition.
I think that's the most likely scenario for controversy, is that Georgia wins out, Oregon wins out, Ohio State wins out, Oklahoma wins out, Cincinnati wins out. I think that's the most likely scenario for controversy, is who gets the 4 spot, Oklahoma versus Cincinnati. You say Oklahoma. Let me ask you this. What if Oklahoma goes 11-0, loses to Oklahoma State on the road in Week 12, then turns around the following week and beats Oklahoma State in the Big 12 title game? Do you still put Oklahoma at 4 in your final ranking? So a 12-1
situation,
12-1 Oklahoma versus 13-0.
12-1 Oklahoma. That situation, I'm gonna say it's a coin flip.
That would be.
I would probably lean towards Cincinnati, though.
That's going to be tough. That playoff committee is going to have. That's going to be tough there. That's going to be. If that's what ends up happening, that will be tough.
Yeah, and it certainly would be. But I was just going to say, Oklahoma has to go to Baylor this week.
Yep.
You showed that picture of the stadium. I am not so sure that Baylor might not just slip up and win that game.
I'm not. Yeah,
I mean, they're at home, and this is their Super Bowl.
I hear you. I mean, Oklahoma's been so inconsistent. Defense terrible. Then next week they host Iowa State. They could potentially lose that game. Then you've got Oklahoma State. So Oklahoma could
lose that one too.
Potentially. Oklahoma's a lot like Wake Forest in that their toughest 3 or 4 games are their last 3 or 4 games. And we already saw it catch Wake Forest last week. We could see it catch Oklahoma.
And I would have had, and I would have had Wake around number 10 too. And you asked previous caller.
Yeah. Hey, this was a good call.
That sounds about right.
And you made good points too. I might disagree with some of your points, but you made good arguments for them. Thank you for the call. It was good to hear from you. All right, no one else is on hold, so I'm going to turn the phones off. A huge thank you to everybody that called in tonight, though. You cannot have a call-in show without what? Callers. We had some really good calls tonight, too. Some interesting calls. Some calls made you think. And I think a lot of the people made good points tonight, too. You can disagree with someone's result, but if they explain to you why they have that or whatever, and people did a good job with that tonight. This was a good call-in show, I think. I'm a little biased, but I think it was a good show. Justin Healy, thank you for the super chat. Can you put one of those wrenches next to my name? Some bolts are loose on these Oklahoma State fans. Is there a cheater bar available? Justin, all the blue wrenches that you see are members of the Uncle Lou Patreon page. I give every Patreon member a wrench. That's how that works. The link, if that's something you want to do, there's a link in the description of the video that'll take you to the Uncle Lou Patreon page, and you get yourself signed up. But that's one of the perks over on the Patreon page. Everybody gets a wrench here on the live shows. So that's how that goes. Justin Healy says, I'm a Patreon subscriber with no damn wrench. Well, you haven't tuned into any of the Patreon streams then, Justin. I do a Patreon stream every Saturday, and during the stream, everyone in there gets a wrench. Where have you been? Why have you not joined any of the Patreon streams, Justin? This is unacceptable. Why have you not joined any of the Patreon streams? That's alarming. Let's go, Justin. Let's go, Justin. Let's go, Justin. Let's go, Justin. Does Lou like peanuts? Yeah. Yeah. I buy like the, the Planters mixed nuts. I buy those. I like roasted peanuts. Of course, I love boiled peanuts. I talk about that all the time. Yeah, I did see that, Muffin Man. Game postponed by COVID. I did see that. I'm kind of surprised that's the first time it's happened this year, to be honest. Sooners by 30 on Saturday. Don't even air the game. Wow. I don't know about 30. I don't know about that. Wouldn't surprise me if Oklahoma won, but I don't know about 30. Pizza woman, you always have weird ideas. Let's go, Justin. Let's go, Justin. Let's go, Justin. Let's go, Justin. Oh my God, that scares me every time. Baylor lost to TCU. That's true. And Kansas and Oklahoma was scoreless at halftime against Kansas. All right, everybody. I'm going to get out of here. Long stream today. Almost 3 hours. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I had a great time. Shout out to all the callers. Shout out to everybody participating in the comments section. Best comment section on YouTube. This is a pretty average YouTube channel, but the comment section is amazing. So I love all you guys. And, of course, a huge shout out to those of you who chose to support the show with Super Chats or PayPals tonight. I really, really appreciate that. That's all that keeps these live streams going. So thank you, Justin Healy, Compton, Jackson Beverly, Alec Dickey, Adam Conklin, Brandon Nodine, Jair Jett, Jim Decken, Rob D, Jonah, James Johnson, Connor Ross, Huffer Billy Paul, Jack Selman, Lucas McBroom, Caleb, Cal Snow, Scott Borer, Began Megan, Millis Vanillis, Shane M, 1980. Thank you all for the super chats. Over on the PayPal page, Friction Vixen, thank you. Chad S, thank you. I really appreciate you guys supporting the show tonight. That means a lot to me. I love you all. No live shows tomorrow on Wednesday. The next live show will be Thursday morning at 8 a.m. The Mustard Shoe, otherwise known as the Morning Show, on the top secret second channel that no one knows about. And then call-in show again next Thursday night, 10 p.m. right here on this channel. All right, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week, and have a good morning.